Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, guys.
There we go.
Oh, yeah?
Today we are going to be dealing with very serious topics.
Yeah.
We get asked a lot, by the way, so we wanted to collectively go over kind of a few, kind of the more serious questions that we get asked as far as being a dealer school and the opportunities, what's the environment like, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And
Wow, this podcast does not want to start out.
wow, we got some technical issues
Yep.
that we are going to be resolving with our
There we
tech
go. We're
support.
good?
Yep.
Okay, it was a little probably loose. All right, we're good.
All right, so we're going to deal with a number of different topics that deal with sort of harassment, sexism, ageism, even sexuality. This is a sexuality that play out in the workplace here, and we're going to start, by the way, with some personal stories. And so we've all been in the business for quite a while. We all had our personal relationship with gaming, and we also want to start by saying there's been a pivot over the years. There's the old and new Vegas. There's some people that are still tied to the old Vegas. Some people moved on from that. There's things have changed for the better.
Yeah, I consider us New Vegas.
We're New Vegas 100%.
Yeah.
And so that's the other caveat. Us as a school, we advocate for our dealers. I mean, we're a dealer school. Our efforts, me, Alex, and we have Lauren here as well, who's going to share some stories in a bit. We're all about de-rigging the system. If for whatever system that there is, we want a fair playing field. We want everybody to be able to participate and feel accepted, feel encouraged, be optimistic, hopeful, all those things. But of course, there are things that take away from that experience, that change that dynamic. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about a little story of redemption.
Yep.
That Alex wants to share.
My story.
Yep. I'm going to talk about Alex's story, and we're going to put that out there. And this is a story of how the school started and where we came from. So, go ahead.
Let's talk about my story. So I told you guys I used to work at the Hard Rock 7 years ago. So I used to be a floor supervisor at the Hard Rock. Mm-hmm. I worked at the Cosmo beforehand, got laid off, got a actually supervisor job with Skip Cusimano, who was my shift manager at the time. Got me a floor position job at the Hard Rock.
Okay.
And so one of the things I did at the Hard Rock was actually considered a no-no, and it's pretty well known in the casino business, taking care of your friends, using the comp system.
So back in the day, and everybody will tell you that there used to be sort of these open books. You would go meet your friend would write a ticket to the buffet. I had a friend of mine that started at the Aria. I had to go to Aria, and or actually a friend of mine, Mike, would stop by, and he'd get lunch and things like this. And this is sort of how things went. Of course, it wasn't technically the correct thing to do. It was sort of the system. You had friends on the inside; they would hook you up. Okay, so Alex did exactly that, and
I used the comp system at work,
and you were a bit scapegoated.
Yep,
and you had to pay.
I got outed. I got in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take care of some issues. Mm-hmm. Basically I had to pay my dues, amend the things that I did, and took responsibility for it. And at the same time, decided to start the dealer school.
Yeah. So Alex, obviously at that time, casino gaming was a bit shut. That opportunity, that window closed, that door closed, and Alex could have stayed at home, and been depressed and just sort of pivoted to another environment, but he thought to open a school. He looked around and identified the opportunity of running a casino dealer school to help other people, maybe help them transition in a way that he didn't realize. I mean, it was a growing experience, and I think we've all had those experiences, right?
Yeah, and to be honest with you too, some of the students here at the school, I actually tell them my personal story of what happened. Mm-hmm. The things we talk about in the casino chats about burning bridges and all that sort of stuff, I'm speaking that from my actual personal experience.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that we're always passing on to the students here, because I actually lived through that.
Yeah, so we definitely recognize this is kind of a circular business. You never know who you're going to run into.
Yep.
You start out as dealers, the next thing they're shift bosses, and they're dealers again. It's this constant circle of people, and we talk about that quite a bit. I mean, not burning bridges, treating everybody fairly. Okay, so a lot of doors were shut for you, sir, when you opened the school.
Oh yeah,
a lot of opportunities. As you might recognize here, Alex is of the Asian persuasion. Yep. And so, the truth is there racism has
it played a big role here at the school.
Yep.
part of my struggles as a dealer school owner is when I first started the dealer school, nobody would give me a shot, even though I'm American, Las Vegas born and raised. But because of the fact that, you know, I am of Asian descent, they would not give me a shot.
Yeah. So, you know, that's always been sort of a recurring theme, although that has changed a lot, by the way. And we may get in trouble for this in some ways, but me and Alex thought very hard about this. And about whether or not even to do this type of podcast, given, you know, our role as a school and our relationships. And I will tell you that this town has come a very, very long way. But the reality is there's still people connected to the past. There's still people who feel like, you know, because you're a different ethnic variety, that somehow that takes away from, you know, the dynamic of the relationship you have. And I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in cities. I didn't see a lot of this. I mean, I saw it to some extent, given, you know, the communities, but I grew up in very diverse neighborhoods. You know, it wasn't until, and Vegas, I think, has stayed fairly diverse. It's had its issues, but you know, when I came into this business, I opened some doors by the very nature of my
Yeah,
you know.
no joke. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, David did help me. So any of the old Vegas people, and just to clarify too, like the people that we met so far, like the Bryans and the Brents,
Yeah.
and the Scott Moreaus, they
Yep.
don't care about that.
No.
We're talking about like the old Vegas people. Anytime we deal with old Vegas, it is
Yep.
a fact. David's the point of contact for that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is a tough topic, man. Wow. This is tough, because now that we're putting it out there, it's like.
But let's just put it out there, dude. It's,
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It is
let's
what it
let's
is.
do it.
All right. So doors were shut. Everything on the surface. You know, there's a lot of people who play on the surface, but you know, below that surface, maybe not so much. You know, maybe they have other thoughts, and they don't create the same opportunity for everybody. All right. So as you open the school, you try to get jobs for dealers. So how did that work? You could only work with certain casinos, or.
So when I first started, there were certain casinos that I dealt with because what happened was former friends of mine or coworkers or people that I work with that can see past that.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was a lot of these casino bosses that was being racist or not giving the school a chance, well, they ended up slowly just fading away, whether they got fired or terminated or whatever happened.
Yep.
And that's when the changing of the guard started happening. And you have bosses coming in that want to keep their job, and guess what? They don't care about that. They look past that. Now they're looking at the quality of the school, the quality of everything that's going on.
Yeah, you just being a great dealer.
Yeah.
Accountability definitely has changed quite a bit. I mean, HRs have really upgraded the game. A lot of, you know, human resource departments. You know, the companies now have taken a very firm role in making sure that, you know, there's a lot of diversity, and diversity is promoted throughout, you know, the whole process, you know, from hiring an employee to training the employee to retention. In fact, a lot of casinos or a lot of they have peer groups.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Back when I worked at the Rio, and I worked at that was the first time I had ever heard of a peer group. There was actually you couldn't be fired instantly. You know, when I started in this business, they could fire you for anything. They didn't like your look, they didn't like what you said, you know, whatever the case is, you could just be fired right off the floor.
Yeah.
And at the Rio, they couldn't do that. They left it. There was a process, you know. Even though a supervisor might not like you or whatever the case is, you actually had to go through the peer group, and they could turn around your firing. I mean, you might be suspended, and you go up in front of a group of your peers and decide, you know what, you know, that wasn't good cause, that type of thing. And by the way, Vegas is a no-cause state. Like, you can be fired, but most companies here have a process, have policies in place to avoid that, where that's not a thing. You can't just be, you know, summarily dismissed, and you know, they've done a very good job of that, by the way. That's actually a pretty big thing. All right, so you know, I wanted to talk about the opportunities and break it down into the categories that we have. So the opportunities of there's on the front, as being a frontline employee here in Vegas, you have opportunities to be a dealer, and then there's the opportunities, you know, of advancing. So the opportunity to get started, and then the opportunity to advance. And one of the very first things I get also is age an issue?
No.
Is age an issue?
Age is not an issue.
Yeah, so age has rarely been an issue. There's a few properties out there, which is understandable, who sort of focus on a younger crowd, and so for them, they want younger dealers, or that, you know, deal. But for the most part, age has never really been an issue. As far as I've been in the business,
We got so many older students here at the school, and that's not an issue.
And you know, we just had a few students that got hired that are a bit older, and as much as, you know, people think that, oh wait, I'm 60 or 70, that's not. We even had someone who was 80 years old once who got hired. We got him in a casino. So as long as you have the dexterity and you can, pass an audition, obviously, because we're losing people.
No, it's just.
What's going on?
Change the cable on this thing.
Oh, we gotta change the cable.
Really? All right, we back?
Keep going. Just
Okay.
Okay, so age has never been an issue. Okay, what about sex?
Unless it's a specific job where it designates that it has to be like a certain gender to it, but no.
Okay, so I'm going to add some context. We're talking about old and new Vegas. Back in the day, they didn't really like women to be crap dealers.
No.
Crap dealers are mostly male, okay? Back in the day, women were expected to really dummy up and deal.
Just blackjack and baccarat or whatever.
Blackjack and baccarat. And there was much more hazing when it came to... I in the early 90s, when I broke in, I would see women treated differently than the craps pit. It was like good old boys, talking sports, hanging out, drinking after work. And then women were just, in some cases, because I worked at some places places that were, individual casinos that were on the lower end of the spectrum. Yeah. And I witnessed firsthand women being treated differently.
I mean, that's true to a certain extent because think about that. Like, it used to be, we're going to change it real quick.
Here we go. We're going to train it.
Okay. Hold on 1 second, guys. Don't worry about the camera going out.
Yeah, you don't want to see us anyways.
So, a lot of times we used to have students come into the school. Like, they'll come in, be a dealer on the strip, and they're like, I don't know if I can deal craps. I was told it's a guy's game.
Yeah.
That's totally not true. I feel like our school has helped in that. Look, for example, that dealer at the Strat that dealt to us on craps.
Yep.
Did you see how good her hands were?
No, she was fantastic. Some of the best crap dealers I've ever seen are women. They have this finesse with their hands. That's fantastic. There used to be this crew. So and the saying always went like if you were a party dealer, like you didn't necessarily have the same skill set. I saw some party dealers downtown that were fantastic. It was all girls, and they were wearing a bit skimpier thing, but they were all great dealers. I mean, they were slinging checks, but they were fantastic hands. They were handling the bets really well. So that's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
That's not a thing. So the difference between, as far as the sex part of it goes, the difference between old and New Vegas, I think, is sex is no longer kind of the issue. There are, listen, just like any other business, there are people who take advantage of having a female in their presence or feeling power or whatever the case is. But I think it's the same across the board. It's not something that's too specific to this business. Although we got lots of stories about that. So I'm gonna share a couple stories that we, without naming people, without naming names. But back in the day, I had a friend of mine who happened to be a girl who worked with me. And, she went through harassment that to this day is so hard for me to believe that this actually happened. I just find it hard to believe that, you're in a setting with someone who has power and they take advantage of you in this way. But that was a common, I wouldn't say a too common a thing, but there were a few really bad players who made this a thing. And the idea is that, if you wanted to move up, if you wanted that better position, if you wanted to, cocktail waitresses, but that made, tremendous money back in the day. If you wanted that really choice shift as a cocktail waitress, if you wanted that, in some cases, hiring managers or people that were shift bosses, things like this. The good news is that, where this day and age, it's not a thing.
No.
I would say if it is a thing, it's a very rare occurrence, and those people typically will pay the price pretty quickly. But Lauren's giving me a dirty look from the side, so I would say, go ahead, Lauren, speak up. It's a thing.
It's absolutely a thing.
All right.
It absolutely is still a thing.
Well,
I will just say this: David, Lauren, the staff, and I. We defend our students. When you walk into the door, any student that comes in the door, we don't care about your age, race.
Yep.
We don't care about any of that. We could give a shit, honestly, about
sexuality,
any of that stuff.
none of it.
We don't care. Every student we defend, we do whatever we can to help them. We don't follow nepotism. We don't do any of that stuff. Our biggest thing is if you're a hard worker and you give a shit and you care about your community, that's the things that we try to promote our students and help them get a job with.
Yeah, we don't.
It's not a boys' club.
That's it. You don't need to tell us your life story. We don't even need to know that. All we care about is that you're here, you're learning, and you're ready. When you're ready to take an audition, we want to set you up with the audition. Yeah. And if by the way you encounter a scenario where you feel uncomfortable and you need someone to maybe advocate for you or talk to, we're here. Our students. We advocate for our students whenever possible. Man, this is a tough topic. You know that? I mean, wow. Yeah. How do you approach? All right. Should we move on, or is it more to handle here?
No, that's pretty much it.
We had a whole format to go through. Okay,
any of the students out there, any guys that are watching right now in the YouTube chat or rewatching this video, don't be afraid to talk to me or David or any of the staff here if you're going through any of these issues as well. Like I said, just through my personal experience, I'm sure we're going to go over some of these stories of other people too. But don't be afraid to talk to us about it. Yeah,
there's still some dinosaurs in this business, sadly enough, and it's unfortunate.
Yep.
By the way, there's also a lot of really, really good players in this business too. So don't let that be a thing. All right, so one of the things I added here is really education level. The greatest thing about being a dealer, you don't need an education. Just got to have some hands. And you got to have a great personality, hopefully. And education's not a thing. In fact, back in the day, that was the whole thing about, we had a higher than normal dropout level here in Vegas. A lot of kids, because they just saw themselves as going into the gaming business and there was no real requirements. I will say, though, in order to be promoted, if you want to really sort of advance, a lot of casinos now really would love for you to have at least a high school diploma and maybe even college credits or college degree. It's very, very hopeful to promote yourself.
But at the same time, a lot of casino programs, they also have education programs where you can actually do tuition reimbursement while you're working for that casino as well.
Yeah.
So if you do want to pursue a degree, they actually have programs in place for that.
All right, so here's a toughie. I want to deal with this because back in the day, it was a really difficult thing. I know that this is some people might shut this out here, but sexuality is not has always been a difficult issue for Vegas. So back in the day, it was you couldn't talk about it. It was definitely a thing. I've had many friends over the years who have spoken to me about that, and it was hard, especially working in the gaming business. I mean, being in casino pits, that type of thing. It was a very, macho, type of environment.
Machista is what they call it.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And so it was difficult. It was one of those things where, don't ask, don't tell was sort of the nature, of the business. Whereas, but again, those days are gone. For the most part, I don't often hear stories where that becomes an issue. Almost never, to be honest with you. I run into people who clearly have their own issues. Not too long ago, I was with somebody and we heard some people talking in a derogatory way and using slang that wasn't acceptable. But again, there's recourse. HRs are equipped to handle diversity. They're equipped to have these discussions, even as uncomfortable as they might be. But that's a thing.
I mean, these are part of the casino burnouts. Instead of just focusing on their job, they're focused on things that have no relevance whatsoever.
No, that's it. I mean, it's a tough thing. Yeah. So, all right. Go ahead.
Nothing. I just want. I know it's like I said, it's a very kind of a weird discussion, a very weird topic for us. But like I said, I just want you to be aware out there, everyone. We're gonna do whatever we can, especially in this city, as we keep moving up. Casino Quest moving up, CEG keeps going up.
Yep.
We're gonna do everything that we can to defend this city and our community.
Yeah, that's. I will say, like, I often feel like our success is built on me and Alex's willingness to kind of push the envelope a little bit.
Yep.
And represent dealers. We are without a doubt a dealer's school.
Normal people.
Just regular people who want. I did not have the benefit. Many of I got out of the Army. I ended up homeless. Twice, and I did not have the best luck. I dealt with harassment even at the best job I ever had. I had a pit boss who constantly harassed me, made it very, very uncomfortable for me to be a dealer at one point. And I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like. I worked 13 different casinos. 5 of them were fantastic, and the others were were difficult at times. Where I had to deal in circumstances that were, either uncomfortable. My thing was I don't follow sports, and believe it or not, back in the day, if you were a guy in a craps pit and you didn't know sports, that was a way for you to be sort of excluded or feel excluded. I mean, there were lots of things, being, a guy sort of thing, or, at the time I wasn't a big drinker. I didn't socialize a lot, so I was ostracized for that in many cases. And so, focusing on the game wasn't enough. I was withheld from different opportunities because I wasn't willing to, kiss someone's ass.
Yeah, there's a lot of too going on. A lot of bosses that have to be told that you have to constantly remind them that they're the boss. They need to walk around and you need to like constantly tell them, listen, blah blah blah. You are the man.
Yeah.
You are the man.
Yeah. And so, I'll when I met Alex, Alex got me back into the gaming business, and I was so grateful because luckily Alex knew was friends, and he sent me somewhere that he knew I would be comfortable. I will tell you, that's a thing. You know what's a fantastic thing is when we talk about how we get to know you as a person, and we send you to the place that we think would be a good fit based on who we know and how we know them. That's actually an important dynamic. If we're sending you out into a job that we know is a bit strict or very structured, and you're not that kind of person,
Yep.
You're going to go there maybe and feel uncomfortable. It's not going to be a setting that you're going to thrive in.
Yeah.
If you need a place where, whatever the case is, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was so thankful to Alex, and I saw Alex as being sort of a different way forward. That's why I love the school. No matter how big Casino Quest gets or how big everything, I love this school because we had a conversation today with a fantastic human being, right? Who's all about personality and talent, and those are the kinds of conversations that we want to advance.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Where you don't create these silly distinction. He's someone who is a big boss. He could be even bigger boss, but doesn't even care about being a boss. He just loves his job. He loves to create opportunity. He loves the whole gambling thing. He's not focused on all the silly, nonsense out there. He's just focused on moving the casino environment, moving gaming forward, making it productive, making it a positive thing for everyone. In fact, he talked to us very specifically about how some people get to wherever they want to work, right? And it becomes toxic, for whatever reason, whatever's going on, and it usually it has to do with someone's personality, or someone's literally hung up at definitions that are all about themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That aren't about the job, aren't about what's really at stake. It's all focused on nonsense. Go. And
one of the things I want to say, just throwing it out there, is that for us as a school, that's why also too some of my opinions about certain casinos, we won't say it on the record, but there's specific reasons why there's certain casinos that we absolutely refuse to work with.
Yeah.
It's part of that old Vegas mentality, or part of that whole, just that toxic work environment that we don't want to be a part of.
We don't send anyone any place where they're going to get hazed, or they're going to be excluded because of something that has nothing to do with their job or their personality, or it's going to take away from their ability to be happy, productive, and we want our dealers to thrive. All right, let's move on. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Opportunities to advance. Okay, we talked about the hazing and the kissing ass, and we talked about the prehistoric. What else do you have to add to this story? We're gonna talk about some stories.
Yeah, we're gonna bring in Lauren here now. Lauren's gonna go over some of her stories, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, what do you think? Because we need a woman's perspective. Two guys here kind of takes away from
this
that.
kinda-
She's like,
speaking of that.
absolutely. Because I haven't been a woman in this lifetime, but I'm coming back next life. All right.
Hey, everybody.
This is Lauren. If you don't know Lauren, by the way, me and you have worked. We worked at the Rio.
Worked
You're
at
the
the
one
Rio
person I know who didn't work at the Gold Coast.
Yep.
But we started many years ago. We dealt with some of the prehistoric, Vegas stories.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when we were talking about this, putting this out there. And by the way, we're completely off of format here.
Right.
We're just sort of
No, I
winging it
noticed.
because
Yeah.
it's just a hard topic. But you mentioned that the harassment. Like I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I literally forgot that was. It didn't matter who you were or what you were really. You were just harassed for being a dealer in some cases.
Yeah. From both sides.
Yeah.
From the players.
Yep.
And the floor people.
Yep.
And even sometimes the other dealers.
Yep.
I can remember. Now I started in this business in 1993.
Yep.
I broke in Laughlin. Did about 2.5, almost 3 years in Laughlin. Then came to Vegas. I can remember back in those days.
Yep.
Several things happening. Floor people berating me, calling me names. If if my table, if the shoe was not going the house's way, and I was losing money, even though it's not me, it's the cards, right?
Yep.
If I was losing money at my table, I had pit bosses behind me saying things like, "What's wrong with you? Can't you win a bet? You know, you keep dumping money like this."
Sweating the money.
Sweating the money like crazy, like it was their own. Which back then, a lot of these pit bosses got bonuses based on the casino's take and, you know, the profit. So in a way, maybe it kind of was their money a little bit, but I can remember being called
Lots
names,
of things.
lots of things,
Yep.
and told, "Oh, that's okay. We just won't put you on the schedule next week."
Yeah.
You know, not that I was threatened to be fired, not that I was ever fired, although they could have back then.
Yep.
It was a hired on the spot, fired on the spot kind of environment.
Yep.
But they did. I do remember pit bosses saying, "Oh, that's it. She's off the schedule for the next week."
Yep.
You know, making threats like that. I mean, now you're threatening my livelihood.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a child at home that I'm trying to feed, and you know what I mean.
Yep.
Also, coming around, and I personally never got kicked in the feet or the ankles.
I was kicked years ago.
It happened a lot.
Yep.
It happened a lot. The pit bosses would walk up behind you and kick you if you were losing too much money.
Yep.
You know, being called names by the players and not getting any backup from your pit bosses, your supervisors behind you, just having to stand there and dummy up and deal and take it.
Yeah.
Right? I saw many female dealers leave their games crying.
Yep. You got to wonder, like, I mean, you hear all these stories, and you got to wonder if why people stayed in the business. I worked at the gate, and the first person I saw kicked in the shins, then was a woman. I've seen women leave crying, and I saw a woman one time. I won't say where this happened, but she literally had a breakdown on the game, but yet she was so afraid to actually clap off the game. She just stood there and had this complete and someone had to literally physically remove her, because as a dealer, you know, you're not supposed to leave your game. So she was literally just completely entranced. She just stood there. She was, very hurt. And by the way, we're talking old Vegas, okay? So we're going to get to the kind of the new. We're talking way back in the day. These are stories from the early 90s, and these are at casinos that weren't networked. And
even
they weren't
the
part
mid-90s, but back in the
mid-90s, back in the 90s.
Yeah.
But this poor woman, we watched this unfold. I mean, medics came, and she just would not leave her game. It was the strangest thing.
Well, that was the one thing you would be fired for immediately if you walked away from your game, if you abandoned your game without a dealer being there. It was instant termination. Yeah. And everybody knew that. So no matter how upset you got, if you couldn't get somebody's attention to get another dealer to tap you off that game, you knew if you left that table, you were gone.
I have seen so that was a thing. So back in the day, you would get we didn't have some of the drugs. We had other types of drugs back in the day, right? A lot of dealers dabbled. To Alex's story about dabbling, not so much dabbling. Like we had guys like they would take their aprons off, go across the street and get a job as a dealer. Literally across the street, they would throw their aprons down, quit one place, go across the street, get rehired.
And downtown, that happened.
Downtown,
not all the
That's
time.
no longer
but it
a thing.
happen.
Don't try that because all the casinos know now. They look for if you take your apron off and you walk off a job, it's not a good thing.
Right.
Then you won't be rehired there, and then other casinos.
And not only that, I mean, they used to literally walk across the street and be hired on the spot and put to work right away.
Yeah.
Like you were
literally
at this casino at 8 o'clock, and then you were working at that casino at the same night at 9 o'clock.
Yep.
That's not a thing either.
I've been
Everything
hired,
has
right?
to go through human resources now, applications, online, drug testing, blah, blah, blah.
I've been hired right from my audition to the table. Audition, pass the audition, start working right then.
Right. Back then,
you know
that
I mean?
was a thing.
I was given a bow, and there you go, sir.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right? And
back
we need
then,
you.
that was a thing.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Not anymore.
Nowadays, you got to go through this whole process.
Yep.
Plus, back in the day, if you had the sheriff's card, you had an actual card. So if you already had your sheriff's card,
that's right.
That's it. You were done. You didn't have to go through the whole thing again. Nowadays, you have to transfer your license. You got to do fingerprinting, all that stuff.
It was a sheriff's card that was good anywhere
at
any time.
All right. So again, we're talking kind of back in the day. So I guess women have had to take a lot from gaming, especially back when. And you know, the great thing now is that I think that has pivoted a lot. I know that there are bad people everywhere. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go. You could be in any business. I mean, there's just people that act poorly, and there always will be. And it's not something that you don't know until they do, and then they're caught. And people are brave enough to come out and say, you know what? They point a finger, and that's it. And you know, then we can move on from that. But go ahead, because I can't share that.
Well, and then you're right. I mean, if you look at people in Hollywood, for example, who are getting the finger pointed, and people coming at me too. Time's up. All the, you know, it's not just Hollywood. That kind of stuff happens everywhere. Everywhere. And you still have these bosses who, for whatever reason, feel like they can get away with it.
Yeah, I know. Lots of,
you know, and I mean, I'm not calling anybody out because that's not who I am. It's not what I'm going to do. I'm just saying it's not as uncommon as you might think. You know? Yeah. And it's sad because in 2021 now, you would think that we have evolved a little bit more.
You know, I think you know, it's funny because in this, so I have been a supervisor at other lines of business, right? I was in politics for a while, and I was even a campaign manager one time, and I had sort of a network of people. The difference in gaming is that you're really like the master of the ship type of thing. It depends on where you are in the hierarchy. It feels very empowering, you know, when you're literally everything that you say is just sort of rolled down the hill, and you can, you know, being a boss is like a significant thing, right? If you're a ship boss at a casino, you got a lot of power, no?
Yeah.
I mean, even a pit boss. I mean, a ship boss at a casino has a lot of power.
Yes.
I mean, and is given lots of authority because you have to be able to you're the casino manager on duty, essentially, unless there's someone above you.
That's right. Anything that happens is going to come to you eventually.
That's right.
You know, there's only so far up the chain they can go,
that's right.
And that's it.
And some other dynamics, being a boss, you don't feel so much. It's more about just getting the job done. You know, you're not in this sort of, you know, direct. You know, it's like I attribute it to like being. Can you imagine like a lieutenant or a captain in the army, where you literally issue orders and they roll down the chain of command and everybody executes your orders type of thing.
Yep.
You know, when I worked in politics, it wasn't like that. My role was more about like, you know, where in the chain my work, you know, what I did as far as my work was. You know, I had higher priority work, or I had, you know what I mean? I had more important type of work. The people that I work with were part of that chain. They weren't necessarily, you know, it wasn't like a command structure type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Me being a campaign manager, I just did things that were considered better, you know, higher priority or maybe more important. You follow?
Yep.
Whereas like when you're in, you know, if you're a squad leader, you know, your control or the orders that you execute are, you know, I don't know, it's kind of hard to put it in the thing, but I know that, you know, here's the thing. I one time worked with a guy, and we were both dealers together on a crap table, and I've even told Alex this story. So the guy, he's working as a dual rate. You know, a dual rate, by the way, is where you're a supervisor / dealer. So you come in as a dealer, and then a couple days a week you put a suit on and you watch a game, that kind of thing. You're a dual rate. So one day the guy gets promoted full-time floor. You know, congratulations, you got promoted full-time floor. And he comes over to me and he goes, David, we can't be friends anymore. And I'm like, what? I mean, he literally leans over. He's wearing his suit. I'm thinking he's there as a dual rate. He leans over in my ear and he says, you know, we can't be friends anymore. And I'm like, well, why not? I got promoted. Okay. How does that affect? I mean, what?
So what is that? Now I'm too good for you?
Yeah,
is that what he was trying to say?
He's like, well, I'm like, so I asked him. I said, well, what is that? You know, I don't understand. Like, all of a sudden you're not my friend, because we used to like play Axis and Allies. I don't know if you're not familiar, but we used to play games, stuff like this. And he's like, yeah, I can't be friends because I have to give you orders now. I got to tell you what to do. And I'm like, wow, dude, you can't just be constructive and be a supervisor, because there's a way to do that too. And, you know, you don't have to not be my friend because you've been promoted. I mean, it was the silliest thing. I mean, that's I mean, it goes to some people, it goes right to their head, no?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But to me, that just shows what kind of person that person is. Because if you can't handle being able to be at work and be the boss one day and then be outside of work and be the friend the next day, then you're right. Then he should not have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not because it was like more for you. I think like you were probably lucky that he felt that way.
So interestingly, and this is that full circle. So interestingly, I got offered a job as a supervisor a couple years ago to be part of a crew opening a new casino.
Okay.
And he comes to me and he asks me if I knew of any positions available. But I'm like, dude, only for my friends. Our friendship. You ended the friendship, man. What am I gonna do? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
That's
you
right.
literally told me we can't be friends anymore. Why am I working with you again?
Right.
I mean, come on. But that's the nature of the business. You never know. It's unbelievable. The number of people I've run into 10 years later, 15 years later.
Absolutely. And also the way this business is, you could be dealing somewhere today I could be dealing with David as my floor person behind me today. And then 6 months from now, he's the dealer and I'm his floor person behind him.
That happens a lot.
Management changes, dealers change.
Yeah.
People go one casino to the next.
It's a very fluid situation.
Very, very. And so even as far as like a pit manager or a shift manager, I mean, like I've seen people in those positions that are now dealers.
Yeah.
You know, so never get too cocky. Just never get too cocky because you don't know, as high as you might get, tomorrow you could be the one dealing and whoever you stepped on to get to where you were, now they're standing behind you.
Yeah.
So
my advice is always to be mindful of where you came from.
Absolutely.
Why would you want to commit that to other people? The
Absolutely.
hazing thing is always when I was in the military, when I was in basic training, we had a guy that was hazed horribly. And the hazing alone had him evicted him from the military. There was a drill sergeant who told me, a drill sergeant literally told me that, and I'll never forget this, gave me this whole lecture about how, that's part of the way we sort of weed out, weaker people. But that seems silly, I mean, to me now, I mean, why not make them, a constructive part? Like really, like that's the part that pushed them out. Like I don't understand why. And then who wants to give that back? I mean, if you've gone through that, why would you want other people to experience that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, why would you want
Definitely.
to share that experience? No one wants to share that experience. And what kind of person are you to want to share that experience? I mean, then at that point you just hate yourself, right?
Right.
I mean, then you're just taking away from other people. It just doesn't make any sense. I think people get caught up in these strange definitions about themselves, about life, and what it means to be a guy, what it means to be a girl, and it's all silly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're all humans. We're all trying to kind of, move forward.
That's right.
We want to help our family.
Right.
You have a son. You want your son to do well. You want your son to succeed. You want to succeed. We want
my
a
parents
nice
are
house.
getting ready to move here. I want to be there for them and help them out.
I mean, that's just it.
Yeah.
That's sort of the human condition. I mean, we all have opinions, which is fine. We all sort of live in our own little bubbles, and we have things that we like and we don't like. But why not at least respect everyone else to the point where they can enjoy their life,
right?
And they can have their space, and they can have their kids and their house, and all those things.
That's right. See, my thing is, I don't know you. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what your situation is. I just know that if you're here working next to me, then you're here for a reason.
Yeah.
You've got bills to pay just like I do. You've got things to take care of just like I do. Unfortunately, not everybody feels that way.
No.
So
people want to commit. I find that in some cases people want to commit their own misery, their own hate onto other people. They want to somehow take away I hate my life, I hate myself, I hate all the definitions about me. And so now, feel this. You know what I mean?
Well, that saying, misery loves company.
No, that's 100% true. Because I've rarely had a very happy person, you know what I mean, commit those negative things to me.
Right, of
you
course.
Know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Like anyways, what are we missing something?
A little off topic.
we off topic?
We strayed.
We're way out. We're always off topic.
Yeah, that's true.
David here. I mean, that's
true.
like an off topic.
True.
All right. So now let's go to New Vegas. Let's talk about New Vegas, because this has been a little bit depressing. Let's talk about the New Vegas. New Vegas the companies have done a pretty good job of creating a structure whereby for accountability, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Let's start with the fact that there's now human resources.
There's human resources.
Where there never used to be.
That's right. You usually have an ally in human resources.
Right.
And even if it's just someone to talk to, even if it's a way to kind of release human resources, and onboarding, the whole onboarding, that's like a new word, and that's like a modern word, onboarding.
Right.
You go through a process where there's accountability. They want to make sure you're a good employee at the last place you were.
Yep.
They want to talk to you first. Back in the day when you became a dealer, you literally just had a deal, and boom, you got hired.
That was it.
You
walked in. Are you hiring?
Yeah.
Yep. Yes or no. If it was no, you walk to the next place. If it was yes, get on this table and deal.
Yep.
You would walk in. You would go into a casino in your black and whites, ready for that audition. If they were hiring, they would throw you on a table right then and there. And if they liked what they saw, they would hire you on the spot.
Now they talk to you, they get to know you, and the group interviews or the interviews that they wear. So we actually have some of the group interview questions. Not all of them are used by all the casinos, but the interesting thing, so I had a student just ask me the other day, they said, well, some of the questions are a bit odd, right? Like a penguin walks in a room with a sombrero, why is a penguin there? Because it's a way to get to know how you're going to react. They want to see that you're a happy person, that you're willing to engage, that you have, the sombrero is there to kill himself. You know what I mean? If you come up with that as an answer, then maybe we need to relook your, rethink your application. If you're there to say the penguin is there to start a party and is there just to say hello, there are people, if you're overtly positive, you're going to have a very positive way of expressing an answer to some of these questions.
No matter what the question is.
No matter what the question is. Just literally anything, Yeah. And so that's some of that is to sort of just to create some engagement and find out sort of what kind of person you are. If you're just a negative, depressing individual, maybe being a frontline, employee is not the thing for you. If you're not someone who doesn't, who wants to talk and engage, maybe you should be a cook. I mean, there's other things to do.
My opinion is, here's where it shifted. Back in the day, it used to be, get the hands out, get the hands out, get the hands out.
Dummy up and deal.
Dummy up and deal. We don't want you talking to people. We just want you dealing. We want to see those cards on the table. The faster, the better. Because it was all about how many hands you could deal in an hour and how much money we can make.
Dude, crap table too. Run the dice. Keep
them
going.
That's right. And on roulette, get those spins out. Get those spins out, right? So it went from that to now. The people who are in Vegas are here on vacation. We want to make sure that they have a good time while they're here. Anything we can do to help them have a good experience while they're here.
That's it.
Right? It's not about make that money, make that money, make that money. They know they're going to make the money. The casinos are going to make money.
They want people to have a memorable experience. They want people to go home with memories.
And tell their friends.
I
went to such and such casino and I had the best time.
So here, and we weren't going to mention names, but we're good friends at the Strat, and that's an experience they try to foster there. They want people to really engage with the dealers. I mean, the dealers are going they're table for table, so the dealers keep their own tokes, which is an incredible incentive if you're a dealer to sort of stay engaged, to be friendly, to create a whole experience. Because even if you come in and you have a bad day or you're a bad mood. Now you got some players at your table. You have to. You're
that you're responsible for making all of the money you're going to make that day.
Right.
So when you work in a place where every dealer gets to keep their own tips, if you are in a bad mood and you don't want to talk to your players and you're not going to ask them how their day is going or wish them good luck, that's entirely up to you. You're not going to. Don't plan on making any money that day. If you work in a place where everybody shares their tips. Out of 200 dealers, if 100 of them are outgoing and friendly and great, then 100 of them might not be.
I mean, this is the world of Yelp, Google reviews.
That's right.
All these social media. Everybody has Instagram and Twitter.
That's right.
I mean, not everybody.
No,
Me,
but a lot of people.
I don't have any of that stuff, just so you know.
That's awesome.
I used to have Facebook to connect with some family, but that was it. But now there's accountability. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? Like complete accountability. Like if you're not having a good time, you're going to share that with like the whole world.
And that's one of the big differences. Before all the social media stuff, it was all word of mouth. If I came here from, who knows? I came here from Ohio. I'm here for the weekend. I had a good or a bad experience. I go back to Ohio and I tell my friends, I went and I had a great time. And that's and maybe my friends would talk to some of their friends and say, she went, she had a great time, right? Now. I don't even leave. I'm not even out the door at the casino before I'm on my phone.
That's it.
Posting on Yelp, posting on Google.
You might have 1 million fans. We don't know.
That's right.
I mean, you might literally know.
Right. We don't know who people are. We don't know what their Instagrams and their social media and stuff looks like. It's all right out there right away.
Listen, me and Dennis were at the Smiths the other day, and there was a guy outside, and he was just some random dude, and he was running. There was a cab there, and he's like, I'm somebody. I got 150,000 Instagram fans. He tells us. He was telling everybody, I'm somebody. I mean, but you don't know.
You don't know.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
You don't know who's who anymore.
That's exactly right.
It could be,
Right.
I mean, so.
Right. So things have changed quite a bit, especially in the recent
Yeah,
you know,
I would say the things have really changed in about like the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A lot. I mean, the whole, we had the Me Too movement. I mean, a lot of people had to really kind of retreat. Even if you were a bad actor, you couldn't act a certain way. You had to like keep it inside.
Look at how many people, I'm just talking Hollywood people, look at how many people lost their careers over that whole Me Too thing and Time's Up. And I mean, and then you take that into the casino industry.
That had to scare a few people. There was a lot of stories. It wasn't just stories. There's a lot of you had very powerful people here who were given license to do almost whatever they wanted.
Yep.
And,
and then they started getting called out.
They were getting called out. I mean, some of them have passed away by now, and some of them moved on or out of the business or pushed out of the business. There's a few of them I know that would have gone to jail if they were still around, because I guarantee they would have been outed. I loved when everything started turning corporate. I really did. Back in the mid '90s, one of the best companies I ever worked for was Ageism, and that was I guess. The Rio had that peer thing, but unfortunately for me, there was a few people that I worked with at the Rio. They weren't kind to me. And I wasn't a favorite in the pit, and I had to really keep to myself. And so, I was a bit of a hotshot younger dealer at the time. And so, and for that, I sort of pay. And I wasn't into sports and that kind of thing. So I really was. I went through this whole thing. I mean, some of you guys out there may know, crap pits were all about, they had the sports pool and everybody went out and drank. And if you weren't in that group, then you just showed up to work and you were just some random dude. And they felt more empowered to pick on you. But
it was mostly the craps pit, but it was also outside the craps pit.
I'm sure.
You're right. There was a lot of parties that they would have that you would come to work the next day and you hadn't gone to the party. And never mind. You weren't there.
You weren't there. Yeah.
You kind of got shunned.
No, the Rio had a lot of parties. I mean, a lot of the dealers they had end of year parties, all this stuff, Christmas parties, all this stuff. Yeah. But the first company I ever worked for where I was really this is a total accountability was Ageism, and Ageism had in place this whole chain where you felt kind of I was there because I was good. I was finally somewhere where it didn't matter. All those other things were nonsense. It all only mattered that I was a good employee and I did a good job, and I was measured for that. I wasn't measured for how often I went to the bar or what kind of sports I knew, nothing like this. And they were very good about it. I felt it was a very diverse work environment. It was really one of the very first real diverse work environments. It was a very colorful work environment. There was lots of different types of people in different ways, and it was it was a powerful thing for me. I have to tell you. So you guys don't know, but I'm going to put this out there only because it changes sort of my dynamic. The other part of my dynamic is that my wife was black, and so I went through a kind of a weird experience. So that wasn't a factor in my decision to be with her, but I didn't experience the negative side of that until I moved down south, and then I came back to Vegas. It was very weird for me, growing up in New York City and then L.A., and then being in the military, I was a bit insulated. I guess I was just naive. I was really, really naive. I was kind of an average white person in an average white city growing up, and I just didn't think much about it until I was confronted with it, and I was like, holy crap. What seemed to me the most obvious choice of being in love with this person became like this big deal for other people. Like, why is it a big deal for you? It's not a big deal for me. It means nothing. I mean, it's literally like, I don't understand why it became a thing. So like that was one of the reasons why, this is literally the first time I'm sharing this, but quite honestly, I was called out on this. There was one time I was literally at a casino. Oh my God, I was literally at a casino and I was threatened to be fired. Lisa came to my job and, we were close. I mean, and so I was literally threatened to be fired. I was asked, is she with me? Why am I with, and it was really difficult. I had to make sure that she never showed up at work again.
Wow.
And I feel like even now I feel guilty that I actually committed to that. You know what I mean? I should have said no. I won't stand, but I needed to work. I needed the job. I didn't know at the time, it was, getting a new job as a dealer. I was on the Strip. This is actually a strip casino that was owned by you know who. I won't say, but it was a guy who was known to be not all that friendly, to other races.
Gotcha.
And so that's where I was. And rough.
Yeah.
I mean, it was tough.
The racism has always been there. It has in this country. Well, not even just in this country. The racism has always been there. I think it's been kind of hidden, and people were embarrassed to let it show.
Yeah.
But with the current climate in this country, it's more. I don't know if it's more acceptable for people to show their true colors and who they really are.
Yeah.
I know that it's happening a lot more often now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's never gone away. It's something we have to deal with for a long time.
It never was gone.
No.
It's not like people weren't racist and all of a sudden they are.
Yeah.
It's just a little more acceptable now, I think, to be open about it. And I don't know. That's kind of how I see it. I've heard some people called some really nasty names in the casino by players, not by supervisors or whatever, but by players.
I ultimately quit that job.
Good.
And I moved on. It was weird. By the way, this guy had a Nazi room, so there you go. That puts him right there.
Yikes.
That guy. I didn't know at the time this was a thing, but it was a thing. He had a boss. This is a true story. I'm there. This is the IP, by the way. It's no longer the IP. So for all of you, it's not a thing anymore. So I'm there at the IP, and of course the guy, there's a shift boss there. He doesn't know who the hell. He knows I'm a dealer in a dice pit. And he's talking to me, and he's looking out of this pit. I'm at the front. Remember, there used to be a little area you walked from that was on the strip. You don't remember the IP?
I don't know that I've ever maybe once I was in there.
And then you'd walk down, and then there was a pit there. There was anyway. So I'm out that way. There was a little like cage there, a little mini cage, and he's pointing out as a pit, and he's like. He's showing me a pit. It's all the dealers are either Asian or Ethiopians. This is when Ethiopians started really coming here, becoming casino dealers. And he's like, these are my favorite dealers right here, he's telling me, right? And he's saying, yeah, because they don't complain. They dummy up and deal. I don't have to take crap from them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all these white dealers in the dice pit that's my problem.
Right.
He's telling me. This guy is literally telling me this. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, wow.
Yeah. Well.
But that actually happened.
Yeah, I believe
it.
I
wasn't going to put that out there, but there you go.
There
it's
it
out
is.
there.
There
My
it is.
God. Everybody's like, I got Alex back there shaking his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, good Lord.
Well, just
go.
So people know now. There are so many steps that you can take to, I'm not going to say avoid that kind of harassment.
Yeah.
Or, the racism, the misogyny,
that guy be fired now.
That's what I'm.
That guy be fired.
Right. There are steps that you can take. You can go to your supervisor. You can go to your pit manager. You can go to your shift manager. If you don't get a resolution that you feel is satisfactory, you can go to human resources.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all there's the chain of command, and there's all these steps involved.
Yeah.
And I've seen many, many people fired for sexual harassment. Players kicked out for language and calling dealers names and that kind of, and 86th. I mean, you're done. Don't come back to this casino.
Yeah, if you're a player, come here to have fun. Don't come here to harass your dealer.
So I've seen it on both ends. I've seen employees get fired for that kind of thing, and I've seen players get 86 for that kind of thing. Now, within the past, 10 to 15 years.
It's really come. I mean, and we didn't make this show to point any fingers. That's not the purpose here.
Right.
We thought we would talk about it, and because this is sort of the dirty past of Vegas. Vegas was, dude, it's a thing. There's a lot of holes up there in the desert from way back in the day, and that's a thing. So those things are true. We've. It's changed. It's not, I'll be honest with you. So here, let's scroll this back a little bit. I have people who miss the mob days. Absolutely miss the mob days in those days. Only because they feel like the mob locked it down.
Absolutely,
no one stole from you. There wasn't all the murders, except them, I guess, murdering each other. But you didn't have, but at the same time, trust that there was lots of harassment going on. These people had ultimate authority. They really were the power brokers.
Yes.
The people that did well were probably people that looked a lot like me. you know what I mean, who just sat there at the dice table, did their job, went home.
Right.
And so in that respect, those are the fond memories. But I think the people who, there used to be a famous casino here that catered to if you weren't white. You couldn't come in the front door back in the day. Even if you were a celebrity and you were singing at the casino.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that used to be a thing. I mean, that's not been a thing for a very, very long time.
No.
There's no. There's no take.
And that was, I mean, you're talking back in the 60s,
yeah, 50s,
70s.
60s, a long, long time ago.
Yeah. But still, I mean, that was the climate of the country back then.
Yep.
Things have evolved.
Things
are different now.
There's still a few dinosaurs out there,
absolutely.
and you know who you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're out there.
But luckily, most of them are fading away. You know, and it's becoming much more diverse, much more inclusive.
Very diverse.
Yeah. As to where people used to get harassed for, and don't get me wrong, some still do, but for everything from their gender to their skin color to their religious beliefs to like anything that you can think of somebody being harassed for. I mean, if you look at the people who work in a casino, we're just like people who work in every industry all around the country.
That's right.
We're no different.
Yep.
Right? Yep. So people get harassed everywhere. People get, made fun of and discriminated against. And it's not just here.
Yeah.
It happens. And in this day and age, now there are channels that you can go through to make it right.
That's it.
So, luckily.
And we're here for our dealers.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. We're definitely here for our dealers. We want you guys to talk to us. If you ever experience anything out there that you feel like you need to bring up with us, we're happy. And we're for the most part, we're very neutral. Just know, we don't, when it comes to those kinds of things, I mean, we have the same channels available to us as you do, So we definitely promote kind of working within your environment. Speaking out. We don't want you to be uncomfortable. We want you to be want you to be healthy, happy, those kinds of things. Everybody has a right to be happy,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really the thing. So we want you to be happy.
Anybody who comes to us with any kind of an issue like that, guaranteed, you're not going to get an answer like, suck it up, dummy up and deal, don't worry about it, because I don't have time for you. We don't. We've dealt with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we definitely want. We know there's a lot of people. I mean, we've now graduated thousands of people.
Yes.
And if you're ever in a situation where you feel like if your situation has become toxic, and there's no way out, we would rather you talk.
Right.
We would rather you come see us.
You come see us, and maybe we can help you get out of a toxic situation and into something better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I hate to imagine. Do we have any questions? Is there anybody left on this channel? Are we? What are we doing here?
Yes. This first one's not a question, but I thought you'd like to see it.
All right. I can't applaud you guys enough for talking on this topic. Thank you, sir. Yes. So, woof. It started out a bit rocky. Those of you who started it, because I'll be honest with you, there's so many things going through my head when I'm doing this. I have a very diverse background. A lot of you don't know. One of these days, we'll talk about just literally. I have my life was not easy for a very long time. I always sort of lived by my own rules. I was very self-destructive. So for me, I didn't like to kiss ass. That was the thing I hated the most. And in a casino environment, there's a lot of people out there that love their asses to be kissed.
Yes.
And you know exactly who you are, and you can suck it.
Yes.
And it's unbelievably absurd that you're going to take away from someone else's dynamic because you just have to be the guy or the girl, whatever the case is. There's no such thing. You're a human being. Be a human being first.
Right.
Okay? I'm a human being. The people that work for you are human beings. We're human beings first.
That's right.
If you somehow think that you're better than the person that works under you, you're probably not. And but just by you believing that makes you less of a person, because that's not a thing. You know, we're all here to do the same things.
That's right.
We all want to do well. When you go home and you take your big boy pants off or your big girl pants, whatever the case is, you're belling up to your counter, you're pulling out your cereal, you're doing the same crap that I'm doing at my house.
That's right.
Except maybe now, but somehow you feel better about it or more important about it. You're not. You're not more important.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to convey this. And let me tell you, I see, now I'm going into it. Here comes the lecture thing. When I came into this business, the things that Alex told me, I didn't believe it. I'll be honest with you, I didn't believe it because I didn't believe that I could change. I didn't believe I could change. Together we have changed the conversation. Let me tell you. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, because we feel like we're finally, it's come full circle. We now have the empowerment to talk honestly and have very honest, when we sit down, when I sit across from somebody, like, you know, like the meetings we had today, and we had some big people watch. Wait, by the way, we can't say who it is, but we had a big national someone come out here soon. And you know what? That's where we're at. You know, we have a platform now to talk about the truth. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And to advance we want to advance the best possible experience. You know, is it going to be perfect? Nope. There's no such thing. There's no perfect. There's just better, you know?
Right.
We just want it to be better.
Right.
Are we going to be able to, like, you know, help everybody and accommodate? That's not a thing. We can't do that. You know, I mean, it is what it is.
Can we fix the world? No.
But
we can't fix the world.
No, we can't.
We'll try.
But we can try. Yeah, we can do what we can do to make it better. Right? Make people's lives better.
I mean, that's just it. This is our little small corner of the world. All right, what else you got? Just shout it out. You don't even have to type it. What do you got? I'll repeat it.
No, it's okay.
Is there any questions? Like, why do I look so thin on camera? I mean, what's that?
Because
I got the
you're
answer.
sitting next to me and I look so fat.
I didn't say it.
I make everybody look thin.
Alex Dupler, how do unions work in Vegas? Oh, that's a great question. There's not a lot of dealer unions. So there is a culinary union. The Teamster union is the one that oversees some of the dealer unions that are out here. And so it depends. It's per casino kind of thing.
The Teamsters. I think it's the transportation workers.
I think it's under different umbrellas. I'm not really sure. Yeah. It's not AFL. It's not Teamsters. Anyways. So if you go to, there's not many, believe it or not. The dealers haven't unionized all that well. There's a few different casinos that have a union
for the dealers.
Right. And
most casinos have culinary.
Not in the dealers, but back of the house kind of thing have a culinary union that represents them.
The food and beverage workers have culinary union. The dealers, no.
Dealers not so much. The culinary union is a pretty powerful union here, and The thing with the culinary union, it's sort of an apolitical type of entity. Like, they literally just represent their people, regardless of what the political, you know, sometimes they seem to run more Republican, but they just represent who they represent, which, I mean, sounds like a win. I mean, you guys, I've never been in the culinary union, but I know culinary union members love the benefits. They have their own medical clinics. You know, if they should go on strike, they have a nice little fund that helps provide for them. Their bartering power is like through the roof. Everybody's scared to hell of the culinary union.
Absolutely,
come to the table.
And from what I know about the union that the dealers are in, not great.
Yeah,
the contracts aren't great.
Wow, Lauren went there. I didn't want to go there.
I'm sorry, but I was at the Rio when the vote came in.
Yep.
You know, when they tried to get union, and it was a big fight, and it wasn't voted out. It was not voted in because it just, like, the union that they went with, to me, it's not the right union. They went with a transportation union, which we're dealers. We don't have anything to do with transportation.
You wanted to be in the sex workers union?
Of course. I mean, made the most sense to me.
Yeah, well, hey, you know, that's where the money's at. My God.
Human resources.
Yeah, exactly. That's HR. Oh, crap. But I haven't heard the greatest things about the union.
No, and I was on the anti-union side of the table at the Rio. I was.
Yeah.
And I said the entire time, if we had a better union, I'd be on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not that I'm anti-union.
Yeah.
I'm anti this union for the dealers.
Yeah. No, because I think every one of those you have to evaluate that independently.
Yeah.
So. Do the dues make up for, you know, what does the union bring to the table?
Right.
You know?
And I know some people who worked for one of the casinos that was union.
Really?
And yes, and got unjustly fired. And years they were fighting for her to get her job back, and she never did.
Happened. And to be honest with you, like, I was at one of the network casinos who some unions were going into the casino and trying to unionize. And it was so weird because they did it. So the casino did a really good job of sort of laying out the pros and cons that I thought it was actually pretty impactful. And clearly, there just didn't seem to be a lot of incentive to be unionized,
right?
Especially with this type. Some of the casinos, some of the corporate, the network casinos, like the MGMs and these kinds of properties, the benefits are great. I mean, and they have this process of peer review and everything else. It's really hard to lose your job unless you just suck or you run into some other issues. So like, you know what I'm saying? So it's almost like you're unionized to begin with in many ways. Not to say I'm not trying to take away from the union opportunity, but a lot of the networked or corporate structures already sort of have in place, controls that allow you. Like the Rio had Rio, you went through had a peer review.
Two things that I went through at the Rio. Number one is I was fired and got my job back
through a peer review.
Peer review board.
Yeah.
Because it was unjust the way that I was fired and what I was fired for. Yeah. That was the first thing.
Yeah. God, I love the Marnell. Was that Marnells were there?
No.
Oh, this is after Marnell?
This was after Marnell.
Oh, never mind then.
And then after a couple years after that happened to me, I got onto the peer review board. And I sat on the peer review board.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
You know what?
I'd be too upset.
The one time that I was somebody, they did not reinstate him, and I knew for a fact that he, like in my heart, he should have been reinstated. I was so upset.
Yeah, no, I couldn't.
So upset.
I'd be like, "You're hired. You're rehired. You're rehired. You're rehired." Yeah. I just can't do it.
Well, I mean, there was some that I said, nope, he deserved to be let go.
Oh, really?
But this one that did not deserve to be let go, and they were like, nope, it stands.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that kind of job.
Yeah, I felt terrible.
I can't do that or Band-Aids. Blood drives me insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
What
else
do you got?
Wow, you got it. Okay. I can deal the shit out of most every game, but I am pretty fat and out of shape. Do I have a chance of being a dealer? Yeah. Unbelievable.
I don't even need to say anything, right?
Listen, there is me and Alex were somewhere, we don't want to say, but literally there's a dealer who's probably 400 pounds. And I think the biggest I've ever seen actually dealing dice, not just any. I used to have one of my best friends. He since passed from his weight. Finally took him, but his name was Big Jim. He dealt a Gokos. He was 6 foot something. He probably weighed 350, 400 pounds while he was a dealer. And again, you just have to be a good dealer. And if you have a great personality, weight really is that we've had plenty of bigger people come to the school.
Yep.
And it is. I mean, it's not really looked up. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
Personality is really the key.
In the 28 years that I've been dealing, my weight has fluctuated like seriously like this.
Really?
Oh my God. I've been as low as, 150 and as high as 260.
Really?
Yeah, I've been
all over. Yeah.
But I'm a good dealer, I mean, like
you're a fantastic dealer.
There are people who I work with and have worked with in the past, bigger than me. And they're good dealers. They've got good personalities. It doesn't, what your size is does not, as long as you can handle it.
Yeah, that's
now,
it.
that's the key.
Yep.
For me, when I'm at my highest weight or the higher weights, my feet hurt, my legs are tired. My back starts to hurt. When I lose weight, I feel better. I'm not in as much pain. So what you can handle, dealing is 8 hours on your feet a lot of the time. I mean, there's sit-down tables sometimes, but you're on your feet.
This is going to be the most inappropriate thing, but it's the funniest thing I ever knew. Big Jim, by the way, who I love to death, worked the Gold Coast with me. He eventually got to like 600 pounds, and he passed away. But I called him one day, back before they had cell phones. Hey, he hadn't reported to work. And I didn't know what was going on because we would go after work, and we would go to his house to watch a movie, And Big Jim had the biggest cup I'd ever seen. It was this cup that took a whole 6-pack of soda in it.
Oh, my God.
One cup, and he would sit there on it. He was 6'5", by the way, so the cup looked normal. You know what I mean? Like with Sticky, an extra small Wendy's cup looks normal. And this guy, this
Got
big.
It. Yeah,
And
like,
he would get 2 of the big bags of chips, and he had this bowl. I mean, he was an eater. There's no doubt about it. So I call his
You don't get to be 600 pounds by not being an eater.
No, he was a big eater.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I call him on the phone, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? He's like, yeah, I had to call into work fat. He literally said, he told me, he's like, I had to call into work fat. And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, yeah, well, that was my excuse. Because I can't stand anymore. I just couldn't stand.
Wow.
And so that's when his health really started to decline.
Yeah.
And I always thought to this day that was like one of he was always so funny and always so he had personality, you know.
Right.
And people just overlooked. He was always so self-deprecating and very modest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, he had some other issues clearly, but he was just a wonderful human being.
And that's what happened. I mean, like the heavier you are, the harder it is for you to stand on your feet for 8 hours.
Yeah, he couldn't stand anymore.
Yeah.
His feet would get swollen.
Yep.
You know, there's, by the way, there's a fantastic store here in town, and this isn't like they're not a sponsor, the Good Feet store, which is a good, you don't like them? Not a big fan? Oh my God. So they moved.
Have you ever actually used their shoes?
No, but I do have a friend of mine years ago when they first came to town, and they were like, "This is genius for dealers standing on their feet all the time with the orthotics."
If they really worked the way that they said they did, and if they didn't cost
damn!
fortune.
There goes that sponsorship.
Sorry.
Screw it.
Sorry.
Damn it! I thought we would get him on because every dealer needs. You gotta have good feet.
Yeah,
good, I mean, not good feet. You gotta have good
shoes. Good shoes are so important.
Oh, I have these Reeboks with the orthotics in them, and they're just fantastic. Love it. Yep, you got to be able to stand.
What else you got? Joshua King says,
"You're the business model of the larger corporation casinos are helping lessen workplace harassment. Are abusive supervisors still able to continue in this environment?" Oi. All right, here's the truth. You know what the truth is? Yes, there's no doubt about it. There's some really bad dinosaur actors that try to work within the lines, so to speak. You know, some of them will lie, and some of them, on the surface, they play a game, but inside, they suck.
And they pick their victims. I mean,
they do. They pick their victims.
You're never going to see any of those people trying to harass me.
Nope, they're not going to harass
I'm
David.
I'm not going to put up with it.
Nope.
I'm going to go right to management or right to human resources.
Yep.
Now, some of these other timid girls that are new to the business or maybe a little younger and they don't have the experience that I do, they choose their victims. You know what I mean? Like, so
no, that's the thing.
If
100%.
Yeah, if they pick the right person to say these things to, and that person is too afraid to go to somebody because they think they're going to lose their job, then they can still get away with it.
There's still dinosaurs left in this
I'll tell you what, they better not be within earshot of my table, because if I hear it happen, I'll go to bat for the girl who won't go to bat for herself.
I will say this: the era of those kinds of dinosaurs is closing quickly.
Yeah.
Because of the way that people are vetted now, and the process, the onboarding process, the relationships. So the dynamic is changing aggressively. Corporate relationships. The one thing I hear about, being a manager here is all about culture. The culture of a thing is important, because if you, as let's say a CEO, a director, whatever a supervisor, if you go onto your floor and you advocate this, if you're happy and you're promoting, I mean, again, I go back to the Strat because it's such a significant, listen, the Stratosphere was a dive casino called Resorts World back in the day.
Yes.
And for the longest time, it was always just sort of that other place.
Yeah. That place that's kind of downtown, but not really downtown.
Right.
Yeah.
But Brian has promoted a culture where people feel, people are positive. Every dealer that comes back from there is happy to work there.
Yes.
It talks in a positive way. They just recently promoted a supervisor. Can I say his name? Who they promoted to ship boss recently? Who was Lenny? Lenny, who's this really friendly, happy guy.
Right.
And that's the culture.
Right.
Everybody shares in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you have, let's just say, the ass, when you have this kind of individual, that promotes a different culture. You have a different experience.
Absolutely.
And you know what? It comes across to everybody, the players, the dealers, because if you hate your job as a dealer, your players are going to hate,
That's right. If you hate your job, you hate your dealers, you hate your players, you hate your boss. Like, if you hate your job as a dealer, you hate everything about your job. Dude. Right? Yep. But if you love your job, you love almost there might be a little thing you don't love, but it has it changes your morale, morale.
The whole morale. That's right. That's
the
culture.
God.
So the very fact that people are going to places, wherever you are, whether you're going to get yogurt or you're going to the gas station or you're going into a casino, you know when you're in a happy place. You know when that culture is positive and
you can feel it.
You feel it. Like there's a place right now where there's this woman who feels just like lots of entitlement. She feels like she has power. In fact, she passes herself off as a kind of boss that she's not, and she makes everybody feel like crap. And so, and it shows.
Right.
And now, by the way, when you see those Yelp reviews and then you're wondering why you had such a negative experience, well, it comes back to the culture. So that has to change.
Right.
These companies now have to recognize that they have to move quickly. That it's got to be a very fluid process. They have to promote a culture that's positive, where there's good energy, good vibes, that kind of thing. Otherwise, they risk being forgotten and left behind. They risk losing out on huge investments.
They also risk lawsuits, bad publicity.
Well, that's a problem. Some of it is not to the point where they can actually be sued. It just makes people feel like crap. And so guess what? If you're a dealer and you feel like crap and you're being harassed, that's going to come across poorly unless you're a really good actor.
Yeah, and bad publicity is huge.
Yeah. All right, what else? Anything else?
Yeah, there's actually plenty of questions.
Tons? How many people we got? What's the feel about dealers unionizing to stand up against such treatment? See, that's the thing. Here's the thing. When dealers first started the unionizing thing, it was more about not being fired at whim. Like back in the day, like as a dealer, you could literally be, here, give me your apron kit out the door for literally anything. And the idea of the unions, and I know Lauren will have her own take on it, was you came to just... You came to accept that this was sort of the other part of the business in some ways. And it was either, dummy up and deal, do your job, or, go find something else to do. You know what I mean? And a lot of us just love being a dealer. I love being on my side of the crap table and just being the other thing about being like a blackjack dealer, and as much as there are, crappy ass people, at least it's your game. You get to sort of be in your own little domain for the most part. Now, unions have expanded, right, to represent, or the dealer unions to try to represent and be advocates for their union members. But it's hard for them to go in and negotiate, okay, so we want to review the supervisor and get to know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you go and say, hey, this supervisor sucks? And then it's just about, it's you versus what they said. And then there's sort of, policy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's hard to sort of counter that kind of behavior. The thing that counters that behavior is quite literally the culture. It's quite literally players coming into the casino, and if you're not in a position where you can recognize that you have a bad actor and what's playing out in your thing, then you shouldn't be in that position. You got to reevaluate like where the hell you are.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, we've had that at the school. I will tell you right now, we have had people at this school who have not demonstrated, the respect that they should and the environment they should. And, they're not here. They're just not here.
That's right.
And because that's not a thing. That's not a thing, right?
That's right.
I mean, you can't be screaming. You can't be having these kinds of things because our culture is all about, positivity. It's not perfect, by the way.
Of course,
so
but what is?
No, there's no perfect.
Show me something perfect.
No.
Any industry that's perfect.
But
there
I
isn't
think,
one,
but
right?
I think the evolution is not so much the unions. I think the unions have a hard time of really sort of being in the right place, understanding the culture, those kinds of things.
And that takes me back to the union that those dealers are in.
Right.
It's the wrong union.
Yeah.
They don't know what we do. They don't know what we go through. They don't know. Being a dealer is fun a lot. I mean, like, it's a good job.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah. But, you got to put up with drunk players, people who are losing their money. You have to know how to handle people. So, these unions this union, they don't know what we do. They don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's what it's. Anyways, all right. So, hey, why is there hearts coming up? What is that? That's like
People are subscribing.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic. All right, is that what that is? That's the heart thing?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Someone donated earlier, but you guys were very serious.
We were in serious
thank
mode.
You, thank you.
Fantastic. All right, what do we have?
What else we got?
Is there anybody out there? Are we doing? Is there people still hanging in?
Hello,
all right.
Is anybody out there?
With weed being legal in Las Vegas, do casinos prohibit dealers from smoking on their off time? Will a drug test screw you? All right, good question. We get that a lot. I always have people come up to the desk and go, "Hey, David." Right before we're gonna send them for an interview, they go, David, I gotta be honest with you. I just had literally, David, I gotta be honest with you. I smoke a little weed.
Right. Is that gonna keep me from getting hired?
No, it won't keep you from getting hired because the governor passed a law basically stating that they can't use because weed is legal. They can't use it against hiring you. However, it's still federally restricted. So if you fall afoul of like an OSHA thing, let's say you trip and fall on the job. They can test you, and if they find that you're under the influence, they can use that as a way to kind of say, okay,
that's right.
We're not gonna have you, but they can't use it as a precondition for hiring.
Yep.
but they can use it if you're in a position to be tested. So here's an interesting thing. I will tell you worst case scenario. I was working at a job where one of the supervisors was spit on by a player. Okay? Spit on by a player. And because this was a physical interaction, they were required to drug test that supervisor, even though it was a supervisor that was spit on by the player.
Right.
They had to drug test the supervisor.
Right.
And the supervisor, of course, chronic pot smoker, and but had ailments, by the way.
But back before it was legal, right?
Yeah, this was back before it was legal.
Right.
No, I think it might have been after. But anyways, had a medical condition of some kind of back problem, whatever the case was. But smoked a lot of weed, and so ultimately they quit because they didn't want it on their thing that they were fired for with cause or fired for cause for having smoked weed. If you smoke it responsibly, I've had people who I worked at another casino where people were smoking it on their breaks. They were going off. They were going off, walking away off property to go smoke, and then coming back. Or we have a dealer, by the way, who back when it was illegal, he got hired by 2 casinos working 2 jobs. Okay, went to the one casino before he even started his shift, was getting high in his car
in the parking lot.
In the
employee parking lot.
In the employee parking lot. He was in the garage level, and guess what? Other employees were going by his car, security, all showing up for work at the same time. His literally car's full of pot smoke. Okay. And of course, dude, are you kidding me? You're not even inside. You're not. First of all, you're supposed to smoke it at your house or things like this.
Right.
And then guess what he does? He goes to his second job, and it didn't go well for him. It doesn't make any sense. So you just do it responsibly.
Yeah.
And
when I broke in, my very first job, I don't even think they're reopened yet, so I can call them out. The Edgewater in Laughlin. I worked there for 6 weeks. That was my break-in job. Was 6 weeks at the Edgewater. Really? Yeah. We had a dealer's room, right?
Oh, yeah.
It used to be, like now, the break rooms are the break rooms and all the employees break together. But back then, it was the dealers were kind of had their own break area, whatever. Yeah. So we had a dealer's room. Wasn't huge, but man, you would open the door and you'd get a contact high just from walking in the room.
That was a horseshoe break room. All you horseshoe dealers.
Everybody in there was smoking pot, and there was doing lines of coke on the table. I'm like, they were doing everything in that room.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I worked at when I worked at the Golden Gate I worked there for about 4 to 6 months, something like this. I had a friend of mine that worked at the Horseshoe, and there was the Sassy Sally's Saloon across where they had this long bar there, and the whole thing with the Horseshoe is you could be as stoned and drunk but as long as you could deal. That was the only rule. My buddy used to come. So the Golden Gate it's a pretty small pit. There's not a lot. There's no break room. So like you could like sort of. Sometimes I would walk over to the plaza and play this pinball machine they had there on my breaks. Then I would come back, right? And I got so good that I on one quarter I would still be playing, and I'd have to give it to some kid. I'd be like, "Hey kid, I got to go back at work." But meanwhile, everybody else that was on break was drinking, doing drugs, smoking pot.
Yep.
My friend, and that was the other thing. You had to take off your bow tie, though. You couldn't have your bow tie. Gotcha. God forbid. You don't want to be recognized as like actually being,
Right.
So he took me into the break room one time, and he was smoked a lot of pot. He took me into the break room, and I was so terrified. I was so scared. I'm like, dude. So you go in, and security walks by the dealer's door, and they're not allowed in here.
That's
and
right.
Everybody's getting high.
That's right.
I was like, holy crap.
Back then, only the dealers were allowed in the dealer's room. Like security couldn't come in there. I guess if you needed the garbage emptied, you could have a porter come in and take your garbage out or something. That was it.
God, I always wanted to work at the Horseshoe. I'm so jealous, by the way. All you guys that worked at the Horseshoe, girls worked at the Horseshoe. I'm just so back in the day when they had like 18 dice tables and they slinging checks. I always wanted to have that experience. Yeah. Although I've heard about a lot of nightmare, a lot of dealers that dealt with a lot of harassment over there.
A lot of harassment. Oh yeah.
A lot of male dealers were hazed. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
You had to be.
If you could make it through the Horseshoe.
Yeah, you could go anywhere.
You could go anywhere.
You can go anywhere. Yeah. Anyways, all right, go ahead. What else you got? You got anything else? How about success stories with some past students? Oh, we have some success stories.
We do.
We got a lot of success stories.
Yeah.
We recently had a student that came out here, a fan from California, went through our program in 6 weeks, got hired as a break-in dealer in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
That's a
And he came out here with nothing. Like he was, I'm just gonna take a shot, right?
Yeah.
He just kind of.
We've had over the years, we've had some tremendous. There was a woman here who, a Vietnamese woman. Mm-hmm. We won't name her, but she got to buy her first car. She got hired.
Right.
You know who I'm talking about.
I do.
She came to the school and she was literally in tears. She didn't speak much English when she started.
She didn't. She posted a picture of her with that car on Facebook. She tagged Alex.
She was so proud.
Tagged the school.
Yeah, that was one of the first real personal moments that I had with a student here. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the two that you were talking about earlier today that started as dealers. They graduated the school. They started as dealers, and now they're pit managers. Shift manager? What are they?
So we have two that started the school about 6 years ago. They're both shift bosses. And both minorities, and they're both shift bosses. Yep. And luckily they've worked in a environment that's been very productive. It's all about performing.
Yep. There are a lot of success stories.
By the way, we should say the good. Station Casinos is like a career path.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Absolutely.
It's they promote diversity. As long as you do a good job.
That's right.
And you
That's
can
right.
be
And they
the
have
guy
a lot
or
of
girl.
casinos, a lot of locations.
Can,
pretty much work where is convenient for where you live.
Yep. The great thing is, so interestingly, when I worked at Station, I even worked at the Santa Fe before it was a station, but the nice thing is Station has what they call a celebration when you get hired. You watch, there's someone that comes in and says, hey, I started as a cook and now I'm like literally director of casino op, whatever the case is. There's a lot of people, they work with back of the house to bring you front of the house if you want to. They have reimbursement for tuition. MGM is the same way. They have these really productive career paths. So like if you start there, it doesn't matter where you start, you're on their map.
Your opportunities are endless.
Yeah, endless.
They really are.
And so that's an example of Boyd Gaming as well. Those are examples of really good, companies here in Vegas that promote, the whole path. Like if you stay loyal to them, they stay loyal to you.
That's right.
And again, some people don't have the same experience. There's always people that don't have that experience. I used to work with a guy at a Station Casino who loved to come to work high on meth. And his experience wasn't as good as other people's experience. And so, the outcome for him was he got juiced into job. He relied on his juice. There's somebody he knew from back in the day
who got him the job,
got him in, and ultimately it was a dead end because that's a dead end. There's no God forbid. That's the thing about this business. It's very insular. There's a lot of nepotism, but at the same time, you still have to be a good dealer. Lauren is where she's at because she's a great dealer. She knows people. She's got juice. She has people up and down that she knows are in different positions, but she's a good dealer. That's why she keeps her job, and that's why she stays at the top of her game. That's always been the thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. All right, what else you got? Mr. B, thank you so much, sir. I still have the Olive Garden thing. I got I'm going soon, though. Sticky's watching my weight. Yeah, and it's tough to get in there now. It's always sold out. It's like
the Olive Garden.
Oh yeah. Oh honey, you got to put in your reservation early to get into the OV.
Wow.
Oh, the OG. Wow. It's the OG.
The OG.
This is true.
It is. It is. Even Buca, the lady called me back. I even got on the reservation. Buca de Beppo. And they're like, yeah, we're full up.
See, I like Buca de Beppo, but
really?
I prefer the Olive Garden.
Yeah. I love the Olive Garden.
Give me the choice, I'd go to the Olive Garden every time.
God, I love you.
Yeah.
It's all right. What do we got?
But I thought you guys would like to hear it.
All right.
It was said when you guys were being very serious.
Very serious. What do we got? Just sub because you guys are obviously all
just
about.
Started
the love.
watching you
Thank
guys. Oh God.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
God,
Yeah.
it's so hard to everybody asks me why the hell the school. When we sat down, we building our Casino Quest, I told Alex, listen, I'm not giving up on the school. I want the school because the school is the stories.
Right.
The school, by the way,
Right.
you guys now have followed us. Some of you have followed us for a while. We have Casino Quest. We have the online stuff, and those things are starting to take off and evolve. And we have some fantastic partners, and we have really fantastic partners.
We do.
You have no idea how fantastic our partners are.
Yep.
We got John out there, Pit Boss, who's a fantastic.
His question is next.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But we are literally surrounded by people who are all about everybody creating opportunity and sharing in sort of this community.
Right.
Even Brookfield, big
right.
ass
yeah.
company.
Yeah.
All about when you talk about the love, Brent.
Right.
Brent. Okay.
Yeah.
I had Brent on here at a podcast
a few weeks ago. Well,
Dude,
a couple times. But
listen, Brent reached out to us and called us, and do you know that he was a catalyst.
Absolutely.
And he was an all-in catalyst.
For all of this.
He didn't care that we were a dealer school, that we were small, that we started out at less than 1,000 square feet, Lauren.
Yeah.
1,000 square feet in Flamingo. We started out in this really small space.
Actually, Alex started somewhere
smaller,
in Henderson in a smaller. Smaller. Yes,
And
I joined
you know
him at Decatur and Flamingo.
When you think that people are out there judging you because you're not, smart enough, rich enough, big enough, whatever the case is, that's not luck. Every now and then you come across a guy or someone, and Brent. God, I always get the expression wrong, but he says, a rising tide rises. What's the expression, Alex?
Rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah, a rising
tide raises all ships.
And he was all about, listen, it's just because I'm the GM of fashion show doesn't mean I can't reach out and help. And in the process, he's helped countless people. I mean, we've all been on this journey.
Right.
And we've all we've been able to help a lot more students. Us being a bigger school hasn't really translated into making a lot more money. What it's translated into is being a bigger school and helping more people get more jobs.
People. And I think, I can't remember when the last podcast I was on, right?
Yeah.
But we had just a split second of a conversation about, I think that was one of the podcasts.
Yep.
Becoming a dealer changed my life.
Oh, I know.
It really did.
Yeah.
I was so miserable in the job that I was doing before I became a dealer. It changed my life. And in the past 28 years, and definitely in the past almost 6 that I've been with Alex here, it's really changed my life.
Yeah.
I love to see these students that come in here that don't have anything and, no money and no job or are miserable or are whatever their situation is, and to be able to teach them and watch them go out and be successful. And watch it change their lives like it changed my life.
The pandemic has put a little dent, obviously. Casinos, even though they're still hiring, but we don't have the same opportunity that casino afford. But in a minute, that's going to change. In a minute, casinos are going to blow up. Everyone's expecting the casino floor. You need more tables and more. You need more tables and more dealers because no one wants to sit too close anymore.
That's right. That's right.
So that's and a lot of money is being driven off the casino floor. So in a minute, casinos are going to and almost everybody who's betting on the long game for Vegas is in. The Koch company, whatever it is, KOCH. I don't know how it's pronounced. But anyways, Koch brothers.
Koch brothers.
Koch brothers.
The Koch brothers.
I mean, all of the Drew is back. The Virgin is reopening. All the MGM properties are going back to 24/7. God, I wish I could tell you who was just here today, but they're doing a story about that. The positive spin on this is dealers.
It won't be very long before
the
we
dealer
can let them know.
experience is going to be better, and we're here waiting for that. And we're reaching out. Me and Alex are going and meeting with our partners on a regular basis, trying to create more synergy, trying to create as much opportunity as we can, because when that time comes, I know that's, and that's the truth. We used to have dealers come to us from like far-flung places. I don't know if I'll tell her by name. We had a dealer, Jen. They spoke almost no English, Chinese.
That Jen, yes.
That Jen spoke almost no English. She's a craps dealer, fantastic craps dealer.
Yeah.
So when we have people show up here that don't know much English or are limited, we tell them, listen, it's going to be okay.
That's right.
We got you.
That's right.
And most of the cases
We've
that's
had several students that walk in and don't speak much English.
Yep. It's just a matter. You're going to plug in here. You're gonna learn. We're gonna help you out, and it works. So our placement rate used to be through the roof. Everybody that wanted a job got a job. We had a few people that kind of disappear. They ghost us.
And we have thousands of students or hundreds of students that have graduated from here, gone out and gotten their jobs, and we never heard from them again.
Yeah,
and that's fine too.
And we have a few.
You know what?
Now.
You go. I left dealer school, went and got my job. I never went back to the school and how you doing? That's fine.
Yeah, my school sucked. I never went back. They sucked. They just sucked.
But I'm just saying, like, we don't know all of the success stories.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's success stories out there that we they never checked back in with us and told us, and that's fine too. They're out there.
Yep. All right. What else you got? You got John next.
Yep.
Oh, perfect.
This is when you guys were saying we can fight back, and
this is one reason why your casino. Oh, dude, we can't wait. Me and Alex, by the way, we think we might actually have a shot at it, believe it or not. I mean, here's where we're gonna have low limits. We're going to have a really happy party-like atmosphere, and you can guarantee that me and Alex and Lauren will be out there on the floor having fun.
That's right.
And being part of that whole experience and creating a culture of literally just and you know what? It may not be the most profitable casino, but it'll be a lot of fun to be
That's right. And our employees will be happy.
Yeah, and we'll have a lot of happy people. Even with Casino Quest now, it's an opportunity for us. We have a few people we're plugging in there who, for whatever reason, they have been brought back to the casinos they work for or are new to the thing. And now we'll have our own jobs to help transition people. It's not like the ultimate, scenario because it's not like, it's not like Cosmo money or anything like that. But it's something.
Right.
And we're taking from, right here.
That's right.
There's no, So anyways, John, we're really looking forward. By the way, so, we are promoting this as an opportunity. And, those people who want to sort of plug into the whole Casino Quest thing, we'll have some news for you. We have quite a few actually now. And, we want everybody to share the experience. A lot of, having a casino fun night is big. It's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
Actually, it's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
I mean, what do you know? What the great thing, by the way, the great thing about having a blackjack table, for example. So let's say instead of having like a regular party, you bring a blackjack table. People talk. You have to mingle, even if you don't. It's a great way to socialize.
Right. That's right.
It's like a meetup. It's like a meetup thing. You follow? Because if you've ever been to a blackjack table here in Vegas and you sit down the next thing you know, you're talking to that person just by default.
Right.
I mean, you can't help but meet people and engage. And if you're in Vegas and let's say if you're someone who's solo, you come to Vegas, just go out and play some blackjack. You'll meet people. You can't help but meet people.
When I still worked at the Rio, there was a couple that came in and were looking for a specific dealer and found that dealer and do you remember us? We were here a year or so ago and blah blah blah. And she's like, yeah, I kind of and they came in and thanked her because they had met on her table.
There's lots of those. 100%.
Yeah, she was like, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" Really? Got them talking.
Yeah.
Met at her table, and they were there to get married.
Wow.
So who knows what can happen? You start talking to somebody at a table.
No, I mean, it is something. I have friends of mine. When I lived in LA, they would come out to Vegas solo. They came out here to not always to meet, but just to kind of live vicariously. Yeah. What stays in Vegas, that kind of thing.
That's right.
Because it's so easy to engage. Back when the clubs were open, the tables, it was just hard not to interact with other people.
Yeah.
It's a great casual setting. It's fantastic.
Yep.
So, anyways.
Okay, anything else?
What do we have?
This is a $5 super chat.
Thank you. Timmy's wild stories. I know he is a rambling man. Timmy lives in a box. It's like Timmy lives in a shoe, and it's a smelly-ass shoe that with the leather is halfway eaten out. I mean, Timmy has probably the most boring. You would think that he's young, he's tired,
right? Yeah.
I mean, he would be out of this exciting life here in Vegas, but no,
Timmy sleeps a lot.
He has a girlfriend. He's he works on his perfume channel. He always smells great. By the way,
smells great.
He always smells great.
Yep. But he sleeps. We'll call him. We'll text him. 3-4 hours later, he's like, "What do you want?" I just woke up.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
He has his own little thing going, this table has more excitement than Timmy, I think. You know what I'm saying? Anyways. All right, what else you got? Are we winding down? Is there anybody left?
The Sarcastic King.
Oh, he's played,
hearing how David is from New York.
Yeah.
What is it like on your mind?
Yeah.
Moving across the country to start gaming, work, and dealing, since I'm planning on doing it very soon.
Sarcastic King is taking Fugu. Sarcastic King is taking... Oh, good for you, buddy. I hope you're enjoying that. By the way, so when you do Fugu... Fugu is CasinoQuest.skilltrain.com, by the way. It's our online training platform. And for those of you... Blackjack's done, but some of the other courses are being evolved. Even though they're there, you'll see them. Their craft is coming, by the way.
Right.
So just know that you get... When you plug into that, you get it for the whole lifetime. So as it improves, your whole experience will improve. But anyways, coming from New York, okay. I lived in this city. I lived in Queens. I lived in a tenement, with my mom, this kind of thing. And you knew like a lot of the people around you. New York, for all the crap that people give about New York as being loud, obnoxious, whatever, and you knew everybody. It's like our tournament used to have this little fenced-in area, and all the kids would play there, and I basically knew everybody, and
all the moms knew each other.
And so you interacted that way. The weirdest thing for me when I first moved, and then I moved it outside Boston, and it was a little bit of the same. You know what I mean? Vegas it's like busy. It's like everybody has their own little busy world. It's more a little bit cliquish. Like you have groups of people. I don't know my neighbor. I mean,
right?
I don't know my downstairs. I don't know my neighbors. I know people that are here. This is my circle. So it's a little different that way. People are very focused on their jobs, careers, and families kind of in a different way. You don't get that personal, and maybe because in New York you just live on top of everybody, right? And you're kind of forced into say, hey, but I've lived on top of a few people and didn't know who the hell they were.
Yep. I know in my neighborhood, on my street, I know the people who live directly next door to me. Yeah. I know their names and hi, how you doing kind of way.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wave to people, hey, how you doing?
Really?
But I don't know anybody else's name on my whole street except for the family that lives right next door to me.
No, I don't know. Yeah. I do know the guy next door to me is like he's got a dog that yaps at every hour of the day, and that's like just annoys the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But this one lady on the cul-de-sac, and she waves we sort of know each other.
Yeah. What's her name?
I have no idea.
Right. That's my point.
Clue.
I wave to people. I go to get my mail and say hello to the guy across.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing today? Good. Bye. Go back in my house.
But with COVID, obviously, a little hard to meet people because not a lot of clubs and things like that going on. But if depending upon your, it's gotten a lot better. So here's the thing. When I first got here, if you didn't drink or gamble or do drugs, there weren't a lot of other things to do.
That's right.
There were, even movie theaters were kind of in limited supply out here. The social scene out here was really limited. Then, of course, all the bars, all the eating, and then online with the meetups and everything else, it's really evolved to where there's really lots of recreation. It's really, it's changed. The dynamic has changed. I know a lot of young people, for example, that have moved downtown. I have some friends of mine, when I was involved in politics, they were a bit younger. And amazingly, they moved from like the Venice to downtown. And downtown has a sort of very... there's a lot of synergy. There's a lot of local clubs of people. There's sort of street art that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
They have the First Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really changing. So depending upon what kinds of things you like, there's really a lot more to do.
Yeah.
Nowadays, and
so
a lot
much
more ways to meet people. Yep. Of course, pandemic again. While we're in the pandemic, maybe not the easiest thing because
Yeah.
But it has changed a lot. Vegas is quite something. It's been really spectacular to see. Downtown Fremont used to be like, oof. You only went there if you wanted to either, an hourly rate for both your date and the motel.
That's right.
Hourly rate.
That's right.
And now you go downtown and there's like the Container Park, which has.
I've heard it's
fantastic.
very nice. I still haven't been there.
I've been there like 3 times.
Oh, nice.
We went and got pizza the other day. It was fantastic. They have people throwing frisbees. They have these. They have like an little RV park that's pretty close by. You can see the art. They've built some condos. They've cleaned up that whole area, dude. I swear, if you haven't been there in a while, it's worth going. First Fridays, they have all the art.
Right.
It's very eclectic.
See, and I'm always working on Fridays, so I haven't been to that yet.
Yeah, it's a good.
But someday when I can get a Friday night off.
We went and stopped at this outdoor ice cream place. I don't know what the hell the name of it. And it was $30 for 2 cones. They had this. I know. We didn't know until we got, because you just have to assume that ice cream can't be that expensive.
Right? Who's paying more than $5 for an ice cream cone?
I was disappointed, to be honest with the price. It was very good, and it was vegan. It was all this foo-foo stuff.
That's probably why.
Oh yeah, it was real foo-foo.
Vegan ice cream?
But it was delicious. It was really, really good.
It had
it looked good. It tasted good. It was fantastic.
All right.
But these are the kinds of things that are going down. It's a very, it feels very like Scottsdale is. Have you ever been to Scottsdale in Arizona?
Sure.
They have the artwork and everything else.
Yeah.
It feels like that in a way.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else you got?
This is super chat from earlier that we missed.
Super chat. Thank you, Joey. It's the awesome Kino. Oh, yeah. Yeah. See, Lauren? No one cares about your video slots, okay? Kino is king now. I know. Lauren wants back in. That's okay. Lauren's going to be on next week's Kino action because Alex is out.
I am. And I think bingo's coming.
Bingo.
I think.
We're working on bringing bingo.
So.
Yeah, grab your pack of cigarettes.
Just wait, people, until you see me on bingo.
Yeah.
You're going to forget all about Kino.
Oh, my God.
That's it. It's going to be
all about
bingo.
We're not even going to see you on bingo because you're sitting in the smoking section and it's completely covered. Do they have a smoking section in there?
They do.
Can you see through the fog, the mist?
I can spend an hour outside the smoking section.
Oh, really? Wow.
For the bingo videos.
We're going to watch you sip your hot chocolate.
With extra whipped cream.
Yeah, because if you're a bingo player for enough years, you just converted to a hot chocolate lover. Right. They just have the hot chocolate line. It really is.
It's amazing.
But you got to do it. That's part of the experience.
Yes.
Yeah, you get that hot chocolate. All right, what do you got? God, this is going on forever. All right, are there a lot of Slippery Timmy? What is it with Slippery Timmy today? Slippery Timmy is not in the building.
I know.
He's at home sucking his thumb, okay?
Day off.
Screw Timmy.
Yeah.
He takes all our money.
Carry on. Next.
Next. Move along. Slippery Timmy. We got a lot of Slippery Timmy fans out there. Good
That's
Lord.
awesome, though. He's great. I'm a Slippery Timmy fan.
Are you really?
I like him.
I'm only a fan when he gets to work, dude.
Well,
that makes sense. When he's on break, I don't care. And when he dumps a rack. Okay, how old are supervisors that are there because of their juice? Oh, yeah. Casinos need to flush out these dinosaurs. Principal Skinner, that's a good question, sir. It's, wow, I'm glad that you said that. That's true. There's a lot of juiced-in dinosaurs.
There are, but you know what? It depends. If they're good, then
Some
they
of
stay.
them are good. Yep.
Right? I mean, I work with several people who were juiced in by somebody who's no longer there.
Yep.
And they're still there because they're good at their jobs.
They are.
So, you know, if you come in and you're juiced in and you suck, then your juice is gone, you're gone.
Yeah, so
but if you don't suck.
The great thing about it now is if you get to the front of the line and you suck, big old spotlight. It's hard to shine nowadays. There's just way too many ways to be sort of outed and people are empowered now to speak and to act. Customers are as well. Customers, dealers, the whole thing speak. And the internet speaks, and the social experience speaks, the culture speaks. We know of a few. There used to be something in town called the Old Boys Club, and these are people that have been helping each other get jobs, even though they were, fired for harassment or fired for different things. They would always end up, somewhere, and you know who the hell you are. And so those people have been for the most part, have slowly whittled out. There's a few left.
That's right, and that was Old Vegas.
That was Old Vegas.
I mean, you get fired for harassment, whatever. You'd go next door and your buddy would hire you.
Yep.
Now, not so much a thing.
Yeah, because casinos it's too big. And by the way, it's not all about the gaming floor anymore. There's food, there's entertainment, there's this whole other dynamic. The casino just aren't going to invest in people that can't create the same, can't create that experience. They just don't care anymore. Doesn't matter who juiced you in, doesn't matter what the case is. They're just gonna move on and they'll quickly depart. But anyways, all right, what else you got? Good, that was a good one. I like that one. All right, I recall when casinos had a dress code, no shorts, sleeveless shirts, such as that. Will they ever return to that? You know what? I missed that.
I remember that too.
Oh my God, I missed that. People used to dress up to go to the casino.
Yeah.
They have clubs, of course, that you have to dress up for, but
certain restaurants
have dress codes.
I don't see it coming back in the casinos though.
You know what? I went to this really expensive steakhouse one time, and who had a dress code, and there's a guy there in the Hawaiian print and shorts. I even went to a VIP casino party, and there was a guy in shorts and white socks. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I paid a fortune for my tuxedo, and I got a guy in shorts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that people take Vegas with a grain of everybody. It's like, I mean, first of all, will those days ever come back? Probably not.
Unfortunately.
Will there be do a lot of us miss that kind of thing? I mean, do you miss that?
I do.
Yeah, I kind of do. I'll be honest with you.
There was definitely a certain level of class.
Yeah,
that
Alex
came along with
Alex
coming to
doesn't
Vegas.
miss it. Alex loves Alex. That's the thing about so me and Alex always
I don't
dress
know.
pretty
Is
casually.
Alex old enough to remember that?
Nah, but
No.
he loves dressing casually. He hates dressing.
Oh
up.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's
the monkey
his
suits and
age.
everything. I used to love being. I used to love wearing suits.
Yep.
When
Getting
I was a floor
dressed up,
supervisor, being dressed up.
heels.
And nowadays, I'm like, like today, you would think I would have dressed up today, and I wore like jean khakis. I mean, that was the guy. That's my this is my dressed up shirt right here. This is my formal shirt. But I do miss that. Maybe what we would have if we had a casino. Me and Alex would have like a black and white night. You know what I mean? Like a VIP night for literally everybody, where we just break out the champagne for everybody. Everybody dresses up, and you leave the Hawaiian shirts at home. A lot of Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never understood that about Vegas. Why does everybody got to wear a Hawaiian shirt to literally everything?
It's
almost like
because they're comfortable.
No,
I think that's what it, and they're just comfortable.
You can go to the most expensive restaurant in Vegas, and there's a guy somewhere in a Hawaiian shirt.
And shorts and flip-flops.
Just living la vida loca. I used to work at a high-end dealership here in town, a high-end dealership.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest with you, the guy in the Hawaiian shirt was the guy I wanted to sell a car to, because that was the guy with all the money. The guy in the suit and tie was just there to want to be trying to impress. I had this famous poker player. I had no idea who he was, tall guy. And he's wearing sweats, flip-flops, and some shirt with like a coffee stain on it, okay? And he's coming up the stairs towards my office. He was referred because I was the internet sales guy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I would draw the internet. And I'm like, oh, man, this guy. My friend, who I worked also, but my coworker comes out, and he's like, holy crap, do you know who that is? And I'm like, dude, looks like he doesn't have 2 pennies right here.
Right.
He's like, no, that guy just won this massive poker tournament. He literally had like $100,000 in cash in his pocket.
Wow.
Literally in his sweat.
Wow, my
busting
God.
out.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't even care. He's like, listen, I rolled out of bed. And I want to buy a car. Here's my money.
There you go.
Show me the car. I mean, so anyways, it's a good thing. All
right.
What do you got?
2 questions together because they ask related things.
All right. Go ahead. You can read this one.
What is the average hourly wage, including tips? Would a table games dealer get on a strip property? And the next question is starting dealer salary ranges.
Oh.
Okay.
Good.
So, generally, dealers make minimum wage, which I think minimum wage right now is... What's minimum wage right now?
I don't know, but it's like
$8.25 an hour or something like that.
$8.25 to like $9.50 is what the average starting minimum wage is. Go.
And tips vary from casino to casino. Some places, like we were talking about earlier, some places the dealers keep their own tips. Mm-hmm. So they make what they make. I've seen dealers in keep your own places make as little as $0 for the day.
Holy crap. When was this? Recently? That was back when you were dealing.
No.
Yeah.
This is fairly recently.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And
they zeroed out at a whole casino.
Yeah, well, when it's just slow and there's no players and nobody sits at your table and you know what I mean?
Yeah, but on average, so average.
I was saying from $0 to $5,000 in a day.
You're killing us there.
Well, I'm just saying.
Okay,
to $5,000 in a day, right? So the range there is huge. Mm-hmm. Locals places, I can't tell you what the average is.
I can tell you what the average is. When she's done, I'll tell you. I'll give
Go
you all
ahead,
the answers
because
you need.
There is not an average.
There is an average.
Oh, I can't
Bureau of
wait.
Labor Statistics, there is actually an average. So the average break-in dealer is 15 to 20. It's about $15 an hour, even at break-in places, on average.
In tips alone, or in tips including?
In tips.
Just tips.
So if the average low-end break-in place, you'll make $15 to $20 an hour, including tips.
Okay, so with your hourly and your
hourly
tips.
and your tips,
okay.
$15 to $20 an hour.
Okay.
There aren't many jobs where there's a few jobs that we don't refer you to that may make less than that on average an hour, where you're getting like for the week or something, a $50 envelope or
Mm-hmm.
So there are a few places like that that don't pay well, that are tough, and you probably know who they are already, by the way. But for the most part, most break-in jobs average $15 to $20 an hour. Some of them on the high side. And by the way, COVID has been good to some of these properties. Some of the local properties done really well We know a few of them who went from being $60 a day in tokes, which is around a $17, $18 an hour job, right, to being
120,
150, over $100 a day in tokes, so $22 an hour in wages. Because I think it's kind of hard to describe. I think a lot of people, locals, feel bad that some of these dealers are having to work in these conditions.
I think so too.
They tip more.
And I don't think it's just the locals. I think there's a lot of strip properties where the tourists are just grateful that we're open and we're here, and thank you for
100%.
Putting yourself basically in harm's way to be here for us.
Dude, the Smith's guy, the guy at Smith's, the grocery guy, I was like, man, I felt so bad. I gave him a $20 bill and he put in my groceries. I felt it was the first time I got groceries during COVID. You had to call it in, and they came out and met your car. It was the first time I ever did it. And I was like, dude, I feel so bad that you're out here having you got to meet with everybody, and there's COVID, and you're on the front lines. Like he was like the front lines, he's on the front lines putting the groceries in your car. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm making $500 in tokes a week now. $500.
Nice.
I mean, it was. I mean, but I mean, I think people really did feel bad.
Yeah.
So,
but my point is there's might be an average to like your break-in casino, your local casino. If you say you start on the strip and you go from down the strip, it varies. Every property. There's some that are making $200 a day in tokes.
There's
some that are making $100.
The average strip property, pays $50,000 a year.
Okay.
On average, actually more than that.
Okay.
But when I say more, people like freak out. So there's a lot of 60+ jobs on the strip that skew the average a little bit higher. And it's a good living. So the average off-strip valley property it's over $30,000 a year. The average on-strip property is over $50,000 a year. And the takeaway from that is you have the Stacy casinos, for example, Red Rock, great job. On the strip, obviously, Cosmo, Aria, Bellagio, those are kind of the cream of the crop in terms of strip properties. But there's a lot of other good properties as well. You have Mirage, MGM properties, those kinds of things. So again, it does vary, but for the most part, as a full-time dealer, you should start around $24,000 a year. And remember, you get benefits, you get to eat. There's
most places. Not everywhere.
Where?
Not everywhere.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. There are certain casinos that don't have an EDR.
Are tokes taxable? Oh yeah, they taxed 100%.
Unfortunately, yeah.
They used to be that tokes were not taxable back when I started. The Rio was the first place where the IRS came down. And the great thing about the Rio is
it's not that the Rio was the first place. That was where you were working when it happened.
I was working when it happened. Right. Yes, Lauren. Yes.
Well, I just want to.
Thank you for explaining.
I want to clarify. It wasn't like the Rio and nobody else.
Yeah, it was the Rio. No, that was my world. My world was the center of the universe. You have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Center of the universe.
My bad. Sorry.
So I was at the Rio. So this is probably '96 when I finally got hit with the IRS. So it used to be your toke envelope you got in cash. And you just went home, tax-free. You only got taxed on your minimum wage, which sucked out here because it was, low, whatever it was.
I think it was like $3.75 back
then.
It
was really low.
Like
if you didn't make tips, dude, you didn't eat well. You had to negotiate, power bills and shit. All right, so Rio came in. When the IRS first hit up the Rio, we only had to claim $100 a day of our tokes when they first started. Which, by the way, we were making like 300 more a day. So we were like, yeah, sure, that's a great deal. We love that. Just keep up the good work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were so lazy. There was no way to report like everything. Now they report every dollar.
Yeah, but the reason that the IRS came in is because you would have two people that worked at the same place, the same job, the same shift,
claiming different money.
And claiming completely different money. So you'd have one that's like, I'm not going to lie to the IRS. I'm going to tell them I make this $50,000 that I make.
So what a bastard
and then you would have the other one that's screw the IRS. I'm not telling them anything. I'm making $20,000. Like, why is there this difference? And then.
So what you're saying is there should have been more collusion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we should have all gotten together and just said,
that's right.
Screw it.
This is what we're going to claim.
Yeah.
But there was people that got really hurt by that.
Really?
The IRS came in,
just audited the crap out of them.
Yeah,
and it
took them years to pay back the IRS.
I'll be honest
with
you.
I
was pretty honest with my my claims. I was pretty honest. I probably screwed over a lot of people with that one.
The minute they gave us the option to either get a toke envelope or go on paycheck.
Yeah.
I want on paycheck.
Did you really?
Absolutely.
Oh my God! You were that one?
Yep.
You were that one person? Screwed us all over. Damn it.
I couldn't be trusted with cash in my pocket every day, David.
That's true. That's true.
And I knew me back then, and I could not be. I can now.
I couldn't.
But I couldn't back then.
I used to have a girlfriend who used to come in and pick up. She would have to be there right with me to pick up my tokes because she was afraid. So at one job, for example, the first 50 had to be put in reserve for my bills. I got to keep whatever was left to go gamble. Because so what happened?
The first 50 went into the.
It wasn't a very good job, Lauren. Tokes went about 55. Okay, I wasn't working
the Cosmo. You were talking about the Rio.
No, not the Rio.
Oh, I was gonna say that gave you a lot of playing around money.
Yeah, that's a lot. No. Because so we budgeted if I $50 a day paid all their bills.
All right.
And then but so what happened originally was instead of that I was budgeted X amount of money to gamble.
Okay.
And boy was I cranky. Apparently it wasn't enough to go gamble. I was so cranky.
Right.
So the deal was so then we went back to the drawing board and we said, okay, we need this for bills, and so $50 and you can gamble. And it was great because there was one time the tokes went like $600, dude.
Wow.
It was a small pit. That didn't happen a lot to me.
You had a fun night gambling that night.
Oh, that's exactly right. I was like, yep, there's your 50. Good luck. I lost all that money. I only played for like 2 hours.
Wow.
That was brutal.
Wow.
Dude. Go ahead. What do you got? What casinos keep your own tips in Vegas? There's two that we know of.
The Strat. There's three.
Yeah. Oh, the
Strat.
Street.
Ellis Island.
Ellis.
Oyo.
Oyo. Really?
I think so. They were.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oyo is where the Hooters used to be.
Where Hooters used
and
to be.
I am pretty sure that they keep their own.
The Hooters
you know where else?
restaurant, not just a Hooters in
Hooters
general.
Casino.
Hooters Casino. That's where all the Hooters are.
You know where else though?
Where?
What's the one on Blue Diamond? What's that place called on Blue Diamond? Silverton.
Oh, Silverton.
The Silverton. They keep their own too. Yep.
No way.
Yep.
Yeah. That used to be. I mean, I don't know. I've heard lots of different things. Yeah. So keeping your own tokes, it's like feast or famine.
Oh, for sure.
We had one girl come in from the Strat that we know. Her and her husband. Her husband was supposed to come back to the school, but she made like $7,000 in guess this, like 2 days.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, and then
those kind of keep your own jobs. They can be nothing, or they can be $7,000. I'm like,
but the average. I mean, that's pretty good. She, by the way, is like this bubbly, outgoing. I mean, you can't help but give her money. See, that's kind of like me. People give me money just to shut the hell up.
Then zip it, sir. Next question.
Yeah. All right, good. Last one?
Okay.
All right, good.
Someone live in or around Vegas alone and support themselves on themselves on dealer wage including tips? Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. This isn't like working at some of the fast food places that it's without a doubt a living wage. The good thing about it is it's very upwardly mobile. So wherever you start, you won't end up unless you want to end up there. And again, you get benefits, you get to eat, so you get to sort of mitigate your other expenses. So it's not like, let's say you work at a bank, for example, and you make just $15 an hour. You know, you have to pay for your food.
That's right.
You got to pay for all this other stuff. Whereas
That's
casinos, Station Casino is a great example, right? They have, I don't know if they still have this, but when I was there, they had an option to have your health care for free. They have like the Cadillac plan you can pay for, but free.
Yeah.
So if you're just starting and you need all your money, at least you have some medical benefits, and you get food. You get to eat while you're there as a dealer.
Most of the casinos in this town, I'm going to go with about 98% of the casinos in this town, have an employee dining room of some sort where they feed you. You get at least one meal a day, right? And because dealers only get 20-minute breaks, you can usually go in 2 or sometimes 3 times in a shift. Now, of course, your eating's less because you only have 20 minutes to eat it, but still, right? So you get fed, which means that if you have an 8-hour shift and you go in at 12 noon and you work till 8 o'clock, you can go in at 12 noon and eat lunch at 1 o'clock on your 1 o'clock break and dinner on your 7 o'clock break. And now there's 2 of your meals that you didn't have to go shopping and pay for.
There's a lot of people that start as dealers that gain a little weight the first go around because they just don't know how to stop. Every hour they're eating for 20 minutes because it's that easy. So that's the thing.
That's why you gotta start smoking.
And then you start smoking till they, great.
So you go
crack
smoke,
on it.
and
Good
then you don't
Lord,
go eat everything.
Lauren, come on now. It's supposed to be a positive podcast.
Okay, sorry.
All right, so
That's positive.
And then so I go back to staging because MGM has it, but so they actually have like a computer there, and it'll show you. They have discounts on Sprint bills and all these other programs that you can plug into, the tuition reimbursement plan, all these things to kind of help you. And so really the benefit is quite a bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But yeah, definitely a living wage. The great thing about Vegas, rents have gone up, but the cost of food is still pretty low. The cost of utilities, we have one of the cheapest utility grids there is in the country.
Yep.
My power bill for a 2,100 square foot place is like $100.
In the summer, it goes up a little because you're running your air conditioning all the time. But in the winter, they're very low, and gas prices are not ridiculous. It's not like California, $4.50 a gallon kind of stuff.
We still we don't get. That's not the cheapest gas.
No, but it's not.
Insurance here is a little outrageous. Not as bad as Florida. Insurance though is ridiculous because everybody's like from everywhere running. It's like bumper cars
very
out
livable.
Here.
It's very doable.
Yeah, it's totally livable. Cost of living here is pretty low. There's no tax, no state taxes, no local taxes.
That's huge. Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely a living wage. Yeah. Yeah, good.
Yep.
That was a good question. We get that a lot, by the way. We're coming out with a new series, by the way, that one of our more creative, and we're gonna where to. It's gonna be like where to live, where to go and do other stuff.
Yeah. Where to go to have fun doing this. Where to
bingo. Big bingo player. God, look how happy you are when they say bingo. That's like your trigger.
It is.
All right, what else? Are we done?
Well, let's see.
2 more? Whoa.
How does Keno make you feel, sir? Don't you just want to do this when you hear Keno?
I get tingles when I play Keno,
exactly.
just so you know.
Okay, 2 more.
Go, 2 more. Dos más. All right.
With the new location opening up, does that mean you'll have 3 total locations?
I mean, so we have the school, CEG here. We have 2 Casino Quest locations coming at the mall. We got more locations coming, though. And we're probably going to expand the school. So here's the thing. You want to know? Here's some truth. We hate our current landlord. And we have a new landlord who's fantastic. And who we're going to be going to a better location. So we're going to keep this place for offices. And
until the lease runs out.
Yeah, until we expire the lease, and then we're gonna probably be gone. Yeah. But we have a better location coming for the school with one of our partners. It happens to be a big fat REIT. You may know it, but anyways, we won't go into that. We don't want to give it away.
Yep.
But it's a better location. It's a much nicer facility. But yes, so we'll have the new bigger location at the mall. That's going to be 4,600 square feet, give or take.
Yep.
So we're going to be over there between Dillard's and Nordstrom's at the second right there. It's going to be it's fantastic. If you're eating California Pizza Kitchen, you look up and there we are, bing, bing, bang. and then we'll have the other location. We're going to have the dice clinics there. We're going to film the challenges there. You know, it's going to be.
And then who knows? We will branch out, different states, different.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, we've got some offers to go to some other
states. The opportunities are endless.
Yeah, because we love. I mean, we love you guys. Yeah, it's been fantastic. All right, what do we have? Is that it? Last question. All right. Oh, Sarcastic King is back. Is living in Vegas or around it as bad as all these Midwest people say? I'm in Detroit, so it has to be better than here, right?
What do you mean as bad as all these Midwest?
No, because so the story was a lot of people here,
okay.
and there's because at one point there were a lot of stories of people on the Strip getting harassed and things like this. Listen, it's a city. It's an urban population center. There's what do we call the east side of Vegas, and there's some areas that little ghetto that have issues. But it's literally no worse than everything else. You know what's weird? Years and years ago, I had a friend of mine who, I drove a bike through Compton.
Like a bicycle
bike? A bicycle. Literally rode a bicycle down right through Compton. And guess how many people harassed me after all the crap you see on TV about how it's just, people are out there shooting each other? Zero. No one harassed. I mean, and I'm some white guy, white kid, on a bicycle, and nobody yelled at me, no one harassed me, nothing like this. So it's one of those things where there's great neighborhoods. There's not so great neighborhoods. As long as you kind of keep to yourself. A lot of what you heard that happened on the Strip where people, there was one gang came across another gang and then they got into an altercation.
First of all, it's not a daily occurrence, that kind of stuff. Most of them, if not all of them, are just isolated incidents where a fight between 2 people right, maybe gets out of control, or you know what I mean. It's not, you know, it's not. It's not. And there's people walking the strip all the time. I mean,
if people are telling you it's dangerous here, it's not dangerous. The strip especially is so safe that they have metros all over it. They're, you know, we haven't had a whole lot of issues with our metro. I know there has been some. You know, that's a whole nother topic. I don't even want to get into that. But we really, it's like any other big urban center. You know, we have 2 million people living here. When you have 2 million people living in a city, you know, shit happens.
Things are bound to happen, of course.
So it is what it is. There's no other way. It's a great place to live. There's some fantastic parks. You know, there's some great gyms.
There's museums and you know, the Smith Center is fantastic.
Yeah, the Smith Center is fantastic. You can walk around downtown now.
Yeah.
And
you can go out to Red Rock. You can go hiking. You can go up to Mount Charleston.
Listen, if you're in the middle of a drug deal that goes bad, it goes bad because you're in the middle of a drug deal that went bad.
Correct.
So like I've always found like if you're not in the middle of a drug deal that went bad, then you're probably gonna be just fine. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're like some, you know, random person getting, you know, whatever. Yeah. Anyways.
All right.
Are we good? We out? That's it? All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
We were going to have all the jackpots, but we thought we'll do that next week.
We'll show you guys next week all those jackpots that have been hitting. Yeah.
Big.
Yeah.
And we got, you know what? We do have a few things, I think. So we talked about Virgin's opening when? March 24th?
March 25th. The casino's opening on the March 25th, and the hotel is opening like April 7th.
Yep.
Something like that.
That's good news. Next good news is MGM Properties are returning March 3rd or 4th. They're going 24/7
4th,
again.
I think.
Yep. That's good news. Again, the Drew Fontainebleau is going live again. They're reinvesting in that. That's good news. We have the tunnel is still in process. Elon Musk, the Boring Company. So that's good news. We've heard of a lot of casinos that convention space inside the casinos. Companies are being very optimistic. They're moving their dates to create those sometime in September. Is when the expectation is. So as much as the year over year, some of the stories you've heard are somewhat negative, the month over month stuff is getting better. You know, more people are coming out here. There's more planes in the sky. Go ahead.
That's it. Nope, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah. So a lot of good news. There's even some other news. Was there? Is that everything, Alex? All right, very good. And by the way, we're wrapping this up.
We're wrapping it up.
It's warm here too, by the way, compared to.
Over 2
by
hours.
the way, anyone in Fort Worth or Dallas, if you have power and you're able to watch us, man, stay safe. We have a company we work with out there, the Casino Supply Company. I hope you guys are staying safe. Don't worry about our stuff. We'll get to our stuff. And just be safe, be healthy, be well.
Everybody, there's weather going on all over the country, so everybody.
There's weather all over the country,
I know.
Lord. Oh
Crazy,
my God!
Right?
Wow, you learn something new every day. All right, see you guys. Thank you very much.
Be safe.
Bye.
Thank you.
Peace out.